County, we have the very latest right now at 4.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lori Tucker.
And I'm Bo Williams. Thanks for joining us. We've got a lot to get to.
Yes.
And today, a lot of new information coming out on the Gatlinburg wildfire. We now know that 4 people have died.
3 were found in North Chalet Village, and the 4th found in the Travelers Motel, which is right off of Highway 321. We've also learned a big jump in the number of people injured. 45 now, as opposed to 14 reported yesterday. Several shelters do remain open right now, and we have found out that the LeConte Center has closed as a shelter. Sevier County schools are also open tomorrow, except for 2 schools, Pi Beta Phi Elementary, which is in the heart of Gatlinburg, and Gatlinburg Pittman High School. Both of those will be closed tomorrow. The rest of the schools in Sevier will be open. It
has been a busy day, obviously, for crews in that area. They have been cleaning up. We're waiting on a news conference right now. I know we heard from them earlier today, about 11:30 this morning. We're expecting another news conference here in just a little bit. But what they were talking about this morning, you know, we were asking about the rain and if it was helping fight the fires. And they said 8 new fires, brush fires, had popped up overnight. And the rain hopefully helped them a little bit, it seemed like, at least keeping them contained to a degree.
Keeping those contained, and even, they were saying, preventing some of the fires.
Right.
But then there's that other side that we have been talking about in terms of mudslides and rock slides, because so much of the foliage has burned. You don't have that filler to keep those rocks and that dirt in place. So all the rain we've had, a lot in a short amount of time, is having an impact on that.
Yeah, Chief Gary Miller was even saying that they were having to go back to a lot of areas they thought they had already cleared because of the rock slides, the mud slides. They got to keep the roads cleared, some of those other areas that they had already addressed, and had to go back through and do it again. So that's really kind of took them a step back, I guess, if you will, in some of their relief and cleanup efforts.
Right, and I think that they spent a lot of time, that's what they intimated today at the 11:30 news conference, that they were really going to be briefed on a number of questions that the media was asking that are coming from many of you there at home. Why aren't homeowners allowed to go and look at their property? Obviously, safety is an issue, but there are some people who have been allowed back and others who have not. So that could be a location type of thing, if there are still downed power lines and that sort of thing. Also, top of mind are the whereabouts of the missing people. We have that father, Michael Reed, and husband, who doesn't know where his wife and his 2 daughters are. We're still waiting live for this news conference to begin. And also, we have another woman who is missing. She lived in a cabin very close to where the Reeds lived.
That's exactly right. And there's a number of folks still trying to make contact with family members, and that is one thing that they were saying that coming up today in this next press conference that we'll be hearing here in just a little bit, new contact numbers, ways for them to hopefully find their loved ones. They may have gone to different shelters around the area, or maybe with friends somewhere. And we've been telling you, cell service has been very difficult. It sometimes is anyhow when you're up in the Smokies. But
it is. It goes in and out, depending on where you are.
But then when you factor in so many first responders needing to use the phones and whatnot to communicate, it just made it even more difficult. So
that's true. But you know, our hearts and our prayers go out to these families who just don't have their questions answered right now. And you know, the couple of shelters that do remain open are going to be open for a little while. Okay, this news conference is getting underway. Let's listen in to Mayor Waters.
As you all are aware, we've had some heavy rain this afternoon, and that's been of a great assistance to our firefighters in putting out fires. We still do have some active fires going on, but certainly the rain has been assisting in that effort, and we're thankful to the big guy up above for that rain. That's for sure. And I'm glad to report some positive news to you, and that is that we have rescued 3 people that were trapped due to the fire, and all 3 people have been cleared medically and released. So that is some good positive news for a change, and we're thankful also for that. You will hear an update on a number of structures in the city of Gatlinburg, but I can give you an update on the numbers just in Sevier County. I just recently met with our sheriff, Sheriff Seals, our highway superintendent, Superintendent Smelser, and our Director of Schools, who you will hear from in just a few moments, Dr. Parton, about the situation in the county. And we are updating our numbers from 150 structures either damaged or destroyed in the county to, we think it's going to be in excess of 400 now structures in Sevier County. And we will keep you updated on that situation as it develops and as we continue to get into some of these areas that we haven't been able to access because of debris, because of lines down and other issues. But we're continuing to move in those areas in the county, and in the city officials are moving into those areas as well. And let me emphasize something that we've talked about. We're crossing jurisdictional lines here like have never been crossed before. We're no longer cities and counties. We're one entity, and so we're working together, and we don't have any lines. So when we say city and county, I say that for references, not because we feel like we're city and county, because they're not. We're one unit working together to try to address this disaster. So that is a positive note as well that we think, and I want to thank all of the before I go on, certainly want to thank all of the officials in Sevier County, both all the cities and county officials for that spirit, because sometimes you don't see that across the areas in this nation, but I can assure you that's happening here on every level. And I can assure you that it not just extends to the city and county, it extends to the state and federal government as well, because the Park Service is, I can't tell you how vital they are in this, in our efforts, and how important they are and how cooperative they've been. It's very important to us, and we thank all of those officials. Now to some distressing news. We have recovered 3 more bodies. We are now up to a total of 7 that we have recovered. We are still working on identifying those 7. We want to notify the families as soon as possible, but as you might understand, and I hope and know you will, this is a long process that we're involved in, and we're going to certainly let you know when that information is ready to release, but we do not want to release it until they have been positively identified, until we have been able to notify the families of that identification. And certainly I can say at this time that all of us are praying for those families and are very distressed at the loss of life in this situation, and we continue our efforts to move into these areas and recover. And we have zones created across the county that we're moving into, and as rapidly as we can, and moving forward on that. But we have found 3 more bodies. So I also want to tell you that we are in the process of working with the state, and we'll probably we'll be addressing this in the morning at our 11 o'clock. We will be having another briefing at 11 o'clock in the morning here, and we will be addressing that. But we're trying to, and working with the state, set up a couple of programs. One where we have a central location that folks who have whose businesses that they worked at were damaged or destroyed, or can go and apply for unemployment benefits immediately, that they don't have to, they can go to one point here in the county, and we will allow them, and we're going to try to speed up that process so that these folks will be able to get that unemployment compensation as quickly as possible, because we're very much aware that that is something that is absolutely vital to folks as we move forward, is they continue to have that financial assistance. The other thing is we are working with the Commerce and Insurance Department, and I talked with the Commissioner Commissioner of Insurance, Commerce and Insurance for the state of Tennessee yesterday, and we're going to have a focal point for insurance companies to be. So where folks whose businesses and homes were destroyed or damaged by the fire can go to one focal point and meet with the insurance, and there will be adjusters there, and the insurance companies will be there to work with them so we can expedite the process for them getting started rebuilding, so that we will have a place for that tomorrow and be able to announce that to you, and we'll be very thankful that you will be able to get the word out to the general public on that issue. So the next thing we have is we have some information about what we're setting up to try to locate any missing individuals that we have out there, and I'm going to recognize Leslie Earhart with the TBI, and she's going to explain to you that process that we've set up for folks to call in. Leslie?
Good afternoon. As most of you already know, TBI has established a hotline in an effort to coordinate reports of missing persons in the affected areas. But we want to clarify who should call that hotline. If you have a family member, loved one, or neighbor that you typically talk to on a regular basis, but have not been able to locate as a result of the fires, we ask that you call 1-800-TBI-FIND to report that person missing. Now, be prepared to share as much information about that individual as possible. Information we gather during this process will be shared with the appropriate authorities to follow up. So just to clarify, we want people who typically talk to family members, loved ones, neighbors on a regular basis, but have not been able to locate them as a result of the fires to utilize this hotline. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate that update, and that's a very important aspect of what we're trying to do, is focus in now on any reports we have of missing individuals, and focus in and particularly on the areas, if we can get the where those individuals were last known to be present, and that'll allow us to be able to zone in on where these folks might be, and look at our lists as far as those sheltered and other things to help people locate their loved ones, which obviously is a priority for us as well. Next, I want to recognize our Director of Schools, Dr. Jack Parton, who's going to give you an update about what's going on with the school system in Sevier County, and in particularly with the schools here in the Gatlinburg area, Gatlinburg Pittman High School and Pi Beta Phi Elementary School. Dr. Parton.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. Tomorrow morning, all schools will be open in Sevier County, with the exception of Pi Beta Phi Elementary School, as well as Gatlinburg Pittman High School. We will have grief counselors at Gatlinburg Pittman High School beginning tomorrow about 12 o'clock, and that will be for students, faculty, staff, parents, friends in the community that would like to come by and talk to a counselor. We will be there for those folks. Friday morning, all schools again will be open, with the exception of Pi Beta Phi. Gatlinburg Pittman tentatively we are planning to be open here at the facility Friday morning as well. Again, we will have grief counselors at all of our schools tomorrow and Friday as well. Faculties of Pi Beta Phi and Gatlinburg Pittman will meet at Gatlinburg Pittman High School tomorrow morning, and we will be meeting ourselves with grief counselors so that we get our faculty staff ready to go for the next day. Any questions? We'll be forthcoming.
Thank you. Next, we have Michelle Hankies with the Red Cross, who will update us on our shelter and what's going on donations and so forth.
sheltering, we've been fortunate to combine the 2 shelters that we had open in Pigeon Forge. LeConte has been closed. The residents that were remaining there have been combined with the residents at the community center. We're very fortunate in the generosity of several hotels to help with some of our clients for the next couple of days. For donations, I want to reiterate that the generosity of East Tennessee, of the country, has been amazing, and just, I don't have enough words, which, if you know me, that's very unique. However, because of that generosity, we're kind of clogged in our places where we get these donations. It's not that donations aren't useful, but in-kind donations, clothing, water, things like that, take up space, and it has pretty much taken up all of our space here in Sevier County. So working with partners in Sevier County that are standing behind me and other agencies, we really are trying to get a centralized location for in-kind donations to be dropped off, and also a centralized phone number so that anyone who wants to make a donation that wants information about in-kind donations, wants information about how to give to the Red Cross or to the community fund or to volunteer, can call one central number. That number has not been checked out yet. We want to make sure it really is open before it's active. That number we pushed out on social media when it's ready. Again, if this is going to be a marathon and not a sprint. So while people are very generous, you don't need to bring everything right now. We're going to need help for some time. So hold on to those in-kind donations, keep them where they are, and then when we have information of where to bring them, we will share that. So thank you.
Okay, I think Dr. Parton has a couple more words he'd like to say about the schools.
Yes. Concerning transportation for our students tomorrow, buses will be running on a regular basis, but they'll be going only where that our bus drivers really feel safe to go. Within this disaster, there are many issues out there as far as for the safety of the children. Pertaining to Pi Beta Phi Elementary School, we are coming up with a contingency plan for the elementary school. I do want to say that there were some rumors out there that Pi Beta Phi had actually burned to the ground. That is not true. There is minor damage at the Pi Beta Phi school. There's smoke damage, and so we will be getting in there just as soon as we get the green light on that as well. Thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to recognize Superintendent Cash for a report from the park.
Good afternoon. Like the mayor, I'm very, as much as well, appreciative of the rainfall that we've been receiving here throughout today. It has definitely dampened the fire behavior for a short while that has enabled our firefighters to begin to firmly establishing some containment lines for the fire, which has been estimated at 15,736 acres. Due to the exceptional drought, I had a conversation early today with a reporter. This drought has been very much long and extended. So just because it may look wet or dry on the surface, it can still harbor fire threats. It can still be warm under that duct because it's very thick. So it is important on us to be very cautious still about our behaviors toward fire. With the lack of internet and cell service, we have been challenged to share information with the public. In order to help you with that, we have established a Facebook page for the incident called Chimney to Fire. We will post information there as it becomes available. We continue to appreciate the valiant efforts of all our partners and the community pulling together during this very critical time. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll ask Fire Chief Miller if he'd come up and update us on the situation in Gatlinburg.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. I hope to be able to walk up to this podium for this 4 p.m. press conference and tell you that all of our firefighting efforts were accomplished. However, about 10 minutes before this press conference, we rolled out on another structure fire on the Wiley Oakley area of Ski Mountain. So we have crews up there actively working that. We've spent a lot of our time today clearing roadways, as I discussed this morning, clearing mudslides, getting power lines and trees and other debris moved out of the way to get us into some of those areas. We have been able to get into more areas today. And in addition to the numbers that Mayor Waters shared, as far as the city of Gatlinburg area, our numbers are going, as of right now, are 300 plus damaged or destroyed structures as well for the city of Gatlinburg. So as we've said all day, and again yesterday, we're still working. This is going to be a process that takes time, and then we're still being pulled away from doing certain things by firefighting efforts. So that's the update from the fire department for now.
Thank you, Chief. Next, I'll recognize Gatlinburg Mayor Werner.
Thank you, Mayor.
I just have a continuing message that Gatlinburg is very strong, very resilient. The people around here are amazing. We received a check this morning for $100,000 from a company out of Pigeon Forge. And that just shows the collaboration and the love in this area. Another foundation locally pledged another $100,000. And what we're going to do is figure out a criteria of like, how can we use this money best? You know, there's some people that don't have insurance, some people don't have resources, and that criteria will be set up, and there will be a way to get these people that really needed the money. But the message to the rest of the country is like, we're going to be okay, we're going to be back stronger than ever. And if you really love Gatlinburg, put that down on your date in the future to come and visit us and experience the Great Smoky Mountains and experience this beauty in this area. It's a tragic time for so many people, but I'm just thrilled and so impressed with the collaboration of everybody around here working together to make the best of this horrible situation. So the continued message is we're going to be okay, we're going to be all right, and Gatlinburg's going to be back stronger than ever. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Werner. And we have City Manager Cindy Ogle, who's going to update us on some of the continuing aspects in the city of Gatlinburg of this tragedy.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to talk about a couple of the advisories, or one advisory that we did yesterday, and one related to the curfew. The curfew will continue this evening, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. As to the water boil advisory, that is still in effect. However, it is not in effect for the eastern portion of town. So basically from the post office on Highway 321 to the eastern city limits, it is not in effect any longer. I want to make a couple of other comments as it relates to particularly our city personnel. We have lots of other departments that are represented in this effort. Those departments would be our utilities department, our street department, our sanitation department, our parks and grounds department, and they're playing a very important role in this whole effort as well. Obviously the street department, as it relates to aiding in all of the cleanup efforts to get our roadways open and allow the public to access our wonderful town again. So I did want to comment particularly about some of those city departments that I don't think that we've given any credit to, and I want them to receive their due credit. Obviously, we continue to be totally amazed at the cooperation and the collaboration that we have going on with our local city officials. Earlene Teester, city manager in Pigeon Forge, came here to personally visit with us yesterday, and just showing again the great cooperation within the county, with the state, with the national park, with the federal government, and I can't express enough how important that is to the city and to the recovery that we're going to make, and as Mayor Warner said and we said yesterday, we're going to survive this. We're going to come out of it better, and that's where we're headed, and we continue to work toward that. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Now we will open it up for any questions.
Could you clarify those numbers? Is that the 400 and 300, are those the same?
They are not the same number. They're different numbers. If you put them together, there would be a total in the city and the county of in excess of 700 structures. That's correct.
Mr. Mayor, you said that you have not gotten back into some areas because of the debris and the down lines. Lots of people have asked us, and I know that they've asked you, residents as well as business owners, what is your best estimate as to when they may be able to go back into the fire zone?
That is a difficult question, Don, and we're going to address that tomorrow. We expect tomorrow to have a specific date that we'll be able to tell you at the 11 o'clock press conference tomorrow. We're still assessing the damage and trying to get all of our folks that are out there to come in and tell us exactly what they've been able to get into and assess, but we'll have that for you tomorrow at 11 so that our citizens, we want them to know when they can get back in as quickly as everyone does, and we're going to have that date and time tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Can you talk about where you made those additional recoveries?
The additional 3 recoveries that we talked about, Chief Brackens and Sheriff, you want to? Y'all want to address that? The areas?
Yeah,
The area of the last 3 that we
or together, or
the last 3 were together at the same residence. 3 on Campbell Lead Road.
I'm sorry, what road?
Campbell Lead.
And how about the people who are missing that have been found? Do you know who they are?
Those 3, I don't have names on those 3. I'm sorry, I do not.
We don't have those names
We
yet.
don't have. One
I
was
just walked back in the door.
Yeah,
I don't have them yet.
One was on Ski Mountain, I believe.
One was on Ski Mountain Road, and the other one was on.
The other 2 was at Westgate in the elevator, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the other 2 was at Westgate, and one was on Ski Mountain, but we don't have the specific names.
No, we don't.
Did you say one was in an elevator?
About the man and his 2 daughters and his wife. Have we heard any Reeds?
The Reeds.
Yeah, we do not have specific information on that. Though we're still trying to identify and look into those situations, and this TBI issue is going to be very important to be able, when we get the line set up, for those folks to call in, because that's going to give us better information about who is missing and how we can determine to help locate those people. So we don't have that specific information.
How many people are missing? How many have been reported?
Well, we don't have that information. We'll have that tomorrow. We can give them an update tomorrow. We can't give them a total, but we'll be able to give you an update tomorrow on that, but we don't have that. We don't have an estimate, no.
Any new shelter numbers?
Is FEMA coming in to help?
We have been in contact with Congressman Rowe, Senator Alexander, and Senator Corker, and my understanding that Senator Corker and Alexander will be here in the morning for the press conference, and we do have our federal representatives working to get FEMA involved here. Yeah, but they're working on that.
Disaster relief?
Yes.
For the 3 rescued, are they adults, children, men, women? For the 3 that were rescued?
I'm not for sure. The 3 rescued they were adults.
They were adults, yeah.
Yeah, all 3 of them were adults.
Any new shelter numbers?
Yeah.
We do our shelter count at midnight. During the day, many people come to the shelter for services like mental health services and feeding, etc. So that number gets blown up. So tomorrow we can give you an updated number.
Does anyone know?
Whoa, let's go.
The reduction in shelter use from 2,000 down to 300, were most of those people vacationing and have now gone home, or?
That is an excellent question. Again, the generosity of local hotel owners has been amazing. We've been able to take a lot of the families and a lot of the at-risk folk and get them into a hotel room for at least the next couple of days, which lowers our shelter numbers. Now, in a couple of days, they may increase. Don't know. we'll see what happens, but that is part of why the lower increase.
Do you expect more of these kinds of fires, these widespread fires in the future, considering climate change?
We do not expect more. This is and I'm hoping here, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. I've never seen anything. I mean, it was a perfect storm, and for everything to happen, it had to happen with the exact timing that it did for this to happen. Everything had to be in place, and unfortunately, it was in place. And I've been in Sevier County 63 years. Born and raised here, and I've never seen anything even close to this in this county. Never, and I don't expect to see it again.
When do you expect families to go visit their properties or be able to?
We'll have that in the morning at 11. We're working as hard as we can. We know families are frustrated because they can't get back in and visit their properties, their homes, and their businesses. We understand that, and we're going to move as quickly as possible to get them back into these areas. We know that that's important for them to get back in and at least look at the damage that's happened to their businesses and homes. So we'll have that tomorrow at 11.
Does anyone know if Dr. Taylor has been found? He's an 80-year-old, 80-some-odd years old on Woodland Drive.
I do know Dr. Taylor, but I don't know the specifics on that. I do not know the situation. But we'll update that.
How far up the mountain have the search and rescue crews been able to make? Maybe a percentage still left?
Yeah, that's either one of you. Or both.
We've been all the way to the ski lodge. And we've been down certain roads. Some roads are clear, some are not, that we've been around, and they're still continuing that effort. As far as how far up, that's just that main road up. We still have all the side roads to go.
Do we have a percentage left that you would say, just a rough idea of how much until you've been to every cabin, every house?
Like how long?
The percentage that you've been to so far.
I'd say we've been to 30% or less so far.
Do we have any idea on the amount of individuals injured? I know we've got a death total. Do we have an injury total?
I believe I got that injury total from the number of people that have been to LeConte. Rick Valentine, our EMS. 53. Now, many of those have been released. Many of those has been released, but that's the number that we have that we're seeing at our local facility, LeConte Medical Center, as of just a little while ago, is 53.
Do we know how many active fires you still have at this point? I know earlier you said some sparked overnight.
One currently.
Just one?
One currently.
And that's the structure fire?
That's the structural fire.
Yes.
Question for Chief Miller. I think you said earlier today that there were several firefighters that lost their homes or they didn't ask for
Chief.
time off. Do you know about how many first responders you've had that have lost their property and they're still out there working?
To be honest with you, we do not know the total number. I have heard that this employee, that employee, this police officer, this paramedic, this firefighter, but to be honest with you, that has not come from them because they've been out there working. And that's just a testament to the dedication of these responders to serve this community, that they've put their own personal needs aside to take care of everybody else. We have a crew. I assigned an individual today with that task only that came in and said, hey, do you have anything that I can do? And I said, yes. Let's start looking at this. So,
to what degree can you say that these fires are under control?
The question was, and I don't know who wants to what degree are the fires under control?
It's kind of a two-sided question because, as Superintendent Cash alluded to, we've got the fire in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park that has already consumed 15,700 acres. And, you know, did you speak to a status on?
No, I'm going to get that briefing in the morning from the ICT.
So it's still in the process. All of the other fires inside the city of Gatlinburg currently have been contained with the exception of the one that came in right before this briefing. Now, I say that with caution because we have all seen how fires rekindle. And whatever rain we got, the structures may dry out and they could start back. But we have crews that are monitoring those. They're going back in those areas, they're driving through and they're checking and looking for hot spots.
Can you go back to the rescues? I heard you say an elevator. How did you know who these people were? How did you get to them? How did you know they were trapped? Did you just find them by accident? What were the circumstances?
I don't know the familiar, but maybe the chief does.
The elevator rescue came in late yesterday, and it was at a property on the north end of town. And during the process of trying to evacuate, and they get in the elevator, and then when the power and everything went down, they were stuck in that elevator. But then they were able to alert some people, and I believe we got notification via 911 through a cell phone that they were in the elevator, and we got crews down there and had to do an elevator rescue and got them out and transported to the appropriate facility.
And Ski Mountain, that was a different one? That was a separate rescue? Or
Yeah, that was a separate rescue, yes.
What was the circumstances?
I believe that person was in their home. Was trapped in their home.
The elevator, what facility were they in?
Westgate Resort off the spur.
So we heard that at the height of the fire, a baby was born. Can anybody speak to that?
I haven't heard that, so we can't confirm or deny that.
Does anyone know about, can I speak to the historic structures like Bud Ogle's cabin, Mountain Lodge?
I think Superintendent Cash spoke to that yesterday, maybe.
Yeah, we didn't. We had a chance to get a better assessment of the structures. We actually had a flyover yesterday, and we were able to confirm that LeConte Lodge was not damaged, Elkmont was not damaged, and Bud Ogle cabin was not damaged as well. So we were lucky.
Superintendent, those 15,000 acres that you spoke of the fire, what part of the park has that now spread to? It started in the chimneys, but where is that fire now?
Well, it spread, when it started from the chimneys, it came southwest, and that's where it led into coming into Gatlinburg. And as we talked about yesterday, we had a lot of spotting activity, which led to fires in other areas, such as Weirs Valleys.
Superintendent, can you give an update on the cause? You were saying yesterday could be human cause. We started this morning.
Yeah. It's likely to be human caused. We have at least 4 agents assigned to investigate this, and so I haven't had a chance to get briefed on their progress on seeing where they are with it.
Back to the business owners, can you put a message to them? I know a lot were trying to come past that checkpoint to check on their businesses. Should they be doing that? Should they be staying at home? What's your message to them?
Our message is that tomorrow at 11 o'clock we're going to have specific information about folks getting back into businesses and homes, and we're going to determine that by tomorrow. And be patient for just a little bit longer, and we're going to address that. We're working hard because we know the frustration.
And last question, the 3 deaths, do you know if those were men, women, children?
I do. I think they were adults is all I can tell you.
That's all I know.
That's all we know. They were adults.
Is the curfew still in effect tonight?
Yes. Ms. Ogle addressed that earlier. There is. Let me close again and say thank you all for providing this information. We appreciate this is the main way, other than social media, that we're able to communicate with folks not only in Sevier County, but folks that are interested across this nation. We thank you for being here. I'll close, as I always do, by saying we covet the prayers of everyone in not just the state, but the whole nation. And we ask them to continue praying for us. And I'll reiterate what Mayor Werner said. This is a strong county, and we're going to recover from this. We have people that are very strong. They have great character, and we're going to move forward. And I like to close every time I talk by assuring you that Sevier County will be back up and open as quickly as we possibly can. So thank you again for being here today.
All right, that wraps up the news briefing today. The next one, as we just heard from Mayor Larry Waters of Sevier County, is that it will be at 11 o'clock in the morning. Let's hit some of the high points. And the best one is that 3 people were rescued. 2 of them out of the resort that burned.
Westgate, right?
They went to the elevator.
And they lost
and the power went out. And you always see don't do that.
Right, exactly.
But they got in there, they called 911 from their cell phone, and the other rescued from a private home.
All right, we do want to check in right now with Kristen Farley. I believe she is right there at the press conference site. Kristen, right now talking to someone. Let's see if we can listen in here for a moment.
Keep in mind that we've had a fire. We've had a lot of people who can't take things home yet. They're living in hotel rooms. It's not, and I'm speaking from not just the Red Cross at this point, but my partners as well, that we have gotten such generosity that we have full places. We are working on making sure that we can have space to bring these things in, because we know about all the different places that are collecting items. And the important part also to remember is that while the Red Cross is working with the people, it's other agencies who are taking these items. So we want to make sure that the items get to the right agency. We need to work together. So if we can have a consolidated place, we can all work together on that.
And I know that, Ryan and I have been talking about the monetary donations. How do we know they are getting to the right place? If people text that number, is it going to the Gatlinburg fires?
We love zip codes. They can help us track where things need to go. 90999, they know your zip code when you put it in. Also remember, we've had a lot of other fires here in Tennessee that have affected people. Thank goodness not this large, but every person affected by a fire needs assistance.
One of the things that I noticed that you were talking about, Michelle, on the podium was the fact that you are condensing the shelters and the fact that some of the local hotels are stepping up, allowing place. And I can tell you that going from a cot in a shelter on a gym floor into an actual bed with a restroom is outstanding, and you can just see the big hearts out there.
It is, and we've tried to make sure that those with medical needs, for example, were cared for first, but everyone at the shelter, everyone has been so patient, kind, generous with each other and with the community. I'm inspired.
One of the things that we've been reporting are some missing loved ones out there, and a lot of the missing loved ones are traveling to the different shelters hoping that they might find their loved one. But with the hotels stepping up, is there a way that they're able to know if their loved one had gone to a hotel and they may not be at that shelter or any of the shelters?
Now keep in mind, we need to be confidential about our clients' identities. We don't necessarily know when someone comes in and says, "Hi, I'm Uncle George. I'd like to find my nephew John." So we need to be very careful of the security of our clients. However, there's a program called Safe and Well. It's a free program online, safeandwell.org, and people can go on there and say, "Hey, this is who I am, this or that," and you link it to your family members. So we're trying to make sure that those we are working with know about it, and if anyone out in the community is looking for someone, look at safeandwell.org, and activate that kind of a program.
Okay, so this is not a Red Cross issue. If people are missing loved ones, do not come to you guys because you can't share any information, is my understanding, and it sounds like more of a TBI issue.
Very careful. And if you are, again, missing a loved one, and it's not someone that you haven't seen in a while and you know they were somewhere out there, the TBI number is for someone who you regularly talk to and have not seen. And I'm speaking for
work on a location. Tomorrow during the news conference at 11 a.m. it sounds like they're going to give folks more information on where to give the stuff that they've been collecting. And they say this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So just because you have stuff today, they're going to need stuff for weeks, months, who knows how long they're going to need help. We should also mention that grief counselors are going to be on hand at all of the schools tomorrow except Gatlinburg, Pittman, and Pi Beta Phi, which I thought was interesting too. Originally we were being told that Pi Beta Phi was completely destroyed by all of this.
It was close to the fire.
Right. Now we're learning some sort of minor, possibly smoke damage. So that's the good news there. We should also mention, folks, a lot of people have been messaging us saying, I have a cabin out there, my family lives out here. How do I know if the home or the cabin or the structure is okay or destroyed? So There's a list that we think is starting to compile, starting to form on that Chimney to Fire Facebook page. And if we can get that maybe on the banner below so people can read it. It's Chimney, the number 2, Fire. And you search that on Facebook, you can go there. They've got a map. It pinpoints all the affected areas, and that's kind of right now a preliminary way to get a good handle on if your property is damaged and whatnot. They've also got great information there on missing people and all of that. So that's kind of the central hub.
Yeah, that is the website there, and the map that you're looking at, you can click on it and make it a little bit larger. And if you know the street that your cabin is on, you can get an idea based on this map. It's not precision, but it's close. You can get an idea of whether or not your cabin was at least in the area where the fire was burning. A lot of people wondered about that. And the other note that came out is if you really want to help Gatlinburg, come back. We'll see you in a month. We'll see you in 2 months. Go on up there and support them when you can. All right, we're going to continue to get updates on this, although we're not going to likely hear from officials again until tomorrow. For now, we're going to send things out to Kelsey Lair because we've got a lot of our local 8 crews out there. She is in an area of damage. She's been out there all day in Sevier County. Kelsey, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm actually right outside this home. It's right near the Sevierville Pigeon Forge line, very, very close to the parkway. And I'm going to kind of step out of the way so you can see just absolutely devastated. Really not much left here. The couple that lived in this house had been here for 43 years. And I'm joined now with one of their sons. This is Travis Coggill. And Travis, you've been out here for hours, days even, kind of sifting through, trying to find, you know, what can be salvaged. Do you found some stuff, you have some stuff, you found some jewelry, some china. What else did you find?
Coins and just knickknacks. So.
How hard has this been, and I'm going to get you a step a little bit closer to here, how hard has this been for you to come out here and see this house that you actually grew up in, now just rubble on the ground?
You know, a few years ago it would have been really tough, but, you know, faith gets you through everything. So, you know, the houses can be replaced, you know, but you can't burn memories. So we still have those.
And he's been out here with his nephew too. They've literally been out here for hours going through this. Definitely a very hard time. But I feel like your attitude is very reflective of really this whole county right now. As people have lost buildings and lost businesses, there is that sense of just resiliency and hope. Is that kind of how you feel during all this time?
Oh yeah, we're very blessed. There's folks out there that are really in a hard time right now with lost loved ones and everything. This is just a house, you know. It's the people that make it a home. So
yeah, definitely quintessential East Tennessee here, that volunteer spirit. But thank you so much, Travis. Definitely in our thoughts during this time. We'll send it back to you guys, Ted and Amanda.
All right, Kelsey, thanks. Smoke still in the background there. That was what the park the park leader was telling us for the Smokies, that yeah, it looks like, you know, most of the fire damage or danger is gone. Underneath that wet layer, there's dry layers, and so the fire danger is still there, even though we've learned that most of the fires are now out.
Yeah, not out of the woods just yet. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back with more of our live continued coverage on these big developing stories. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Still dealing with some rain, but it's far less than what we had earlier today. Can you imagine? We picked up over 4 3/4 of an inch of rain just today. You got to go back to Christmas last year, but last time we had a 2-inch rainfall in 24 hours. Notice the rain that we're still seeing moving across parts of North Carolina, but you can see there's still some rain here. The McMinn County tornado has been confirmed as an EF2 tornado. The damage here taken by Christopher Colvert from using a drone. Heather Haley out there in McMinn County as well, capturing and surveying some of the downed trees from the damage as well. But the catastrophic damage was affected by those in mobile homes in the middle of the night. That's the worst situation you can ever imagine. The EF scale is as follows. Once you get into a tornado at an EF2, you're looking at winds around 135 miles per hour. That's what the National Weather Service said. This had 11.5 miles in length, 200 yards as far as the path width, but 20 injuries. That's the biggest, saddest concern, that 20 people have been injured. We don't know to what extent necessarily at this point, but this occurred at 1:20 to 1:32 in the morning. And it's just another reason to advertise, hey, check out our Local 8 app and make sure you sign up for notifications, because we want you to be aware before these things happen. There's Nyota, the tornado down at the bottom here, and also this one back here. So there have been some issues, but the tornado issue actually started around 1:20 and finished around 1:32. Here's Gatlinburg over the last hour. Yes, they've been getting rain in and out, but they did get some sizable rains earlier today. That's a blessing as the firefighting effort continues. You can see the rain continuing to move through Knoxville, but that will be the last of the spotty rain, most likely, because once we get past 8 or 9 o'clock, we're going to see some improvement. Total so far for the week, 5.5 inches. How do you get that? Well, we had 0.63 Monday night into Tuesday, and we're now at 4.81, the greatest total ever. I had to look this up. It goes back to 1917 when we had 6.17. Now, we didn't get that high, but it's certainly worth noting that this was a very, very heavy rain indeed across our area. Winds aren't so much a factor now as the front begins to move away. We are concerned that as we move forward in time, and there's the rain, as it moves further away, there might be another spoke or two of a few showers like we're seeing even at 7 o'clock in some areas from Harlan County back toward the Smokies. By 8 o'clock, it's still damp here, still maybe a few lingering showers at 9, but you can see the trend by 10, 11 o'clock is to clear things out and cool things down back into the upper 30s. You'll notice some clouds and some fog early, but it's a cool day. Highs around 51 and a beautiful day. Lots of sunshine Friday. Highs also generally in the low 50s. Our forecast tonight, we're looking for a cool night. We're down to 38 degrees, not as terribly cold, but there's likely to be some spotty rain early in the evening, then clearing skies with some patches of fog. If you're in the Plateau, 50 in Kingston, cool sunshine in Crossville at 47. If you're in Whitley City, about 49 tomorrow. High temperature in Harlan at 46, 51 in Knoxville, 51 in Dandridge, and 50 in Morristown. Here's the planning forecast. We're very cold as we go into Thursday night, Friday night down to freezing, but there's more rain, Ted and Amanda, headed our way Sunday and late Monday into Tuesday.
All right, David, thank you very much. A lot of rain today, and it was needed. It did help put out a lot of the fires that were burning.
Brittany and Lauren are at the command center in Gatlinburg. They just got out of that news conference where we learned kind of some devastating news that 3 more people found dead today, bringing that number of fatalities to 7, Brittany.
Amanda, Ted, they wouldn't give us any information as far as the identities of those 3 extra bodies. They did report to us today that the bodies that they recovered were adults. So it's a little bit of information on those bodies that they have there. Still thousands of people have been displaced from their homes and dozens of people are still missing. We heard from TBI today in that press conference that we just got out of. They've set up a hotline that's 1-800-TBI-FIND. That's the number that they want people to call, but they do want to make sure that if you're calling that hotline, if there's somebody who you care about, who you believe is missing, they want it to be people who are close to that person, who they speak to on a regular basis, so they can give them as much information as they can to try to make sure that these people are found, or at least they can give it their best efforts. We heard some other bad news today. Relief efforts, search and rescue, they've only made it to 30% of the area that they need to be out searching in. So 70% of this area still has not been covered by search and rescue squads. So we've been talking about this all afternoon. Firefighters, hundreds of them, still are out on the ground. This rain, like you said, Ted, has definitely brought a lot of relief. However, they're concerned because we've been in a drought for so long. The area is still very dry. It may be wet on the surface because of these heavy rains that we've had the last few days, but there are still hot spots and concerns for the heat and the dryness to be underneath that area, so they're not giving it the all clear yet as far as what could still be burning. They did recover another, they did find another new fire that started earlier today. That's a brush fire, no more structure fires since this morning, but the updated damage, 400 structures in Sevier County and another 300 damaged structures in Gatlinburg. Those are 2 separate numbers, so you put that together and that's about 700 structures that have been damaged. They're telling us it's very, very difficult to access some of these structures. And like we were saying earlier, that's why they've only gotten to 30% of what the areas they need to get to, because down power lines, down trees, this extra rain that's brought in some problems with mudslides. It's difficult for these firefighters to be out. However, they do reiterate over and over again that there are no longer city limits, no longer county limits, that this is a collaborative effort. They don't have any lines anymore. Everyone has been working together. And that effort has really shown. Let's talk about schools for a second. Schools in Sevier County are going to be open tomorrow, except for Pi Beta Phi. They're not going to be open tomorrow, and Gatlin Pittman is not going to be open tomorrow. At Gatlin Pittman, they're going to have grief counselors on hand for anyone in the county who wants to go and get a little bit of counseling from some experts. There's been a huge effort all around the county, all around the state, and nationwide to bring in help, bring in relief. We're trying to streamline that effort. So Gus Flugquist is here from Smart Bank, and he's worked with the chamber on how to streamline that. Really quickly, tell us what people can do.
Yes, Brittany, thank you. The Chamber of Commerce reached out to us and asked us to help with relief, and they have a foundation arm. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, and so Smart Bank has established this account, and we're making it real easy. It can be streamlined. You can simply visit our homepage at smartbank.com, and from there you can click on donate and make your donation. Also, you can visit our Facebook page or our Twitter page. Of course, you can visit any of our branches in Sevier County or Knox County to make a donation as well. And of course, donations can be mailed to our post office box in Pigeon Forge. That's post office box 1910, Pigeon Forge 37868. The greatness about this, and what we really like, is we were encouraged to ask people to donate this way in our community and in the public, because with this, the monies will go straight to the chamber and they can be distributed there, and it'll be a quicker, more streamlined process. And it's just a way that we can help, because everybody is pouring out with things that they want to do to help our community at such a devastating time. So Smart Bank has the account open. The easiest way to go is to visit smartbank.com. Our homepage, you can click a Donate Now link, and it'll walk you right through it. And all donations and everything is greatly appreciated on behalf of this community that is mourning right now. Thank you, Brittany.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for setting that up and making sure that gets out quickly. We're going to set things back over to Ted and Amanda right now before we get to Lauren.
All right, yeah, we're going to take it to break. We've got a hero story with Alan that you're going to want to see when we come back. You know, it's been described as a once-in-a-lifetime catastrophe, the fires that we've had in Sevier County, but heroic stories continue to come out of what's going on there.
Alan joins us now again. And Alan, many people not really aware of what a band Tennessee State has really come together to form, but you learned the state police are playing a huge role in this effort.
Yeah, I saw one picture. Joining me right now by phone from Sevier County is Trooper Stephen Barkley. And Trooper, what you're a part of is called a strike team, along with special op units from Nashville. You literally risk your lives to pull people out. Tell me about that.
Yes, sir, that is correct, what you stated. We received an emergency phone call from a gentleman that was located on Baskins Creek Road. He was concerned about his home that it was going to catch on fire. Once we started going on this road, or traveling on this road, we could not make it to the actual residence of his address because on both left and right side of the road, structures were just completely engulfed. It looked like, I hate to use this term, it was almost like an atomic bomb had went off there.
Yeah, this is the picture we're looking at is you carrying someone. Is this what you're talking about? Fire on both sides?
Yes, sir. Power lines, everything. I mean, we were going under, stepping over. I mean, everything. It was a bad situation.
Now, you not only that, but your crew there also cut trees with your own chainsaws. And we've got some pictures of those too. That even in your uniform, you were out on the roadway cutting trees. Have you experienced anything actually maybe terrifying, but also more rewarding than this?
No, sir. No, I haven't. The gentlemen that had the chainsaws were actually, they were up for the CERT team, critical incident response team, but they deal with severe crashes. They actually brought the chainsaws that super bad, super heavily. Both were assisting, and they were, everywhere just cutting trees where they could clear the road so we could go.
So this is the picture that Not the kitty cat that we're showing, but this picture right here is one that's going to stick in my mind for a long, long time. And those others, the troopers that joined you all in getting those people out. Memorable, one that epitomizes a lot of bravery and one you probably will never forget. We want to thank you, Trooper Barkley, for what you've done with your crew and what you continue to do right now in Sevier County.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm just wondering if the folks, our producers in the back, can pull up my latest tweet on Twitter. We want to share some new information. We're learning more about some of these missing folks in Sevier County from our CBS affiliate in Nashville. Apparently, a Memphis couple from Memphis we know now missing after the wildfires. Their son is one of the ones in critical condition, but stable in Nashville. If you guys can pull that latest tweet up, I don't know if it's easy for them to get that up on the computer back there, but it's the last thing that I retweeted from News Channel 5.
What's the information?
The information, they're working on it. Okay, the information is that we've known that there are people missing, right? We know that the list continues to grow, but it's unknown how many people are missing. We're getting our first look at some of these people who in fact are. This is the family there. News Channel 5 reporting that this is a Memphis couple missing after the wildfires in Sevier County. Their son, one of their sons, in critical but stable condition in Nashville. So we'll continue to follow this and that growing, unfortunately, list of missing people.
Right. We're coming right back with Local 8 News at 5.
From WVLT, this is Local 8 News.
The death toll continues to rise. 7 now confirmed dead in the Sevier County fires, making this a very long last few days for East Tennessee. Good evening, I'm Amanda Hara.
And I'm Ted Hall. We do appreciate you joining us here for Local 8 News. We've got a lot that we're going to talk about. We'll talk about the latest that we learned on the fires, but there are also a couple major stories that have hit East Tennessee over the last couple of days. We've got fire, we've got storms, a tornado that hit McMinn County, and murder. As we know, so many of you are dealing with tragedy right now in East Tennessee.
We have our team spread out in Sevier County, bringing you updated information and finding the people who need help the most.
In McMinn County, our neighbors have been hit by a tornado, dozens of people injured there, and at least 30 at last report, 30 structures damaged by a tornado in McMinn County.
And here in Knox County, a community in shock following the gruesome murder of parents, a mother and a father, police say perpetrated by their son. We're going to talk a whole lot more about that in the coming minutes.
Yeah, but you were looking quickly at some video of Gatlinburg. Here's the latest on that for those of you just joining us here now at 5:07. For the most part, it was believed that the fires in Gatlinburg were out. One sparked up again at about 3:30. There are still fires burning in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. In all, they're estimating 17,000 acres have burned in what they're calling the Chimney 2 fire. You remember, they always name the fire after the point where it started. So we refer to it as the Gatlinburg fire, but it is the Chimney 2 fire. 7 people dead, 53 injured, the number right now. Still people missing. What we learned from the police chief in the news conference that happened about an hour ago, they managed to get up the main road up the mountain from Gatlinburg up to Ober-Gatlinburg, but they haven't had a chance to check the side roads that branch off to see if there are any more victims and how many buildings are burned. But right now they're saying 700 in Gatlinburg and Sevier County. 700 structures have been burned, at least partially, some completely, by this fire.
Officials telling us that, of course, the rain we've had has helped a lot, but still the ground is still quite dry, which makes this still a tricky situation for crews and that fire situation as well. On top of that, David Aldrich was following that now confirmed EF2 tornado in McMinn County. A lot of different things happening weather-wise for us.
Well, we're going to see a little bit more rain in the Gatlinburg area. We've seen some little additional rain in the Knoxville area, but you'll see on the radar this is the last band most likely to affect the areas and may linger a little bit longer in the Smokies. But I put an arrow that you can see Gatlinburg. A lot of those green dots around Gatlinburg may very well be smoke and the fires themselves, but the rain that's come through Knoxville Knoxville is actually going to be leaving Maryville over the next few minutes and headed right into Sevier County, where they need this rain even more right now with fires that are still growing. But the heaviest of rains, the rains that characterized most of the day, have now moved east of Asheville and now moving further into North Carolina. What is amazing is the tornado damage we're seeing from our own Christopher Colbert, capturing using a drone some of the damage. Now officially an EF2 confirmed tornado. This got its start around Country Road 700 and 705, where minor tree damage was observed, but then the catastrophic damage came in on a few mobile homes, especially along Old Athens Madisonville Road, and that's where really those mobile homes can really be susceptible to these strong and really harsh winds. Heather Haley out down in the McMinn County capturing some of those pictures, but what is heartbreaking, Ted and Amanda, are the 20 injuries and wind gusts of 135 miles per hour. This was a strong storm, and it comes right in the middle of the night while many are still asleep. Another reason why it's so important to sign up for either get a NOAA weather radio, but we prefer our Local 8 app with our notifications.
All right. David, thanks a lot. Much of what we've been talking about over the last hour plus has been the fire situation in Gatlinburg, but we did have, as David mentioned, another disaster here in East Tennessee, a tornado that hit McMinn County. At least 23 people sent to the hospital after it touched down overnight.
We do know that more than 30 structures have been destroyed. Local 8 News reporters Marco Villarreal, Casey Willis have been in McMinn County covering this for us today. They're in Athens tonight. What's the latest from there, guys?
Well, as you guys said, those are the latest on the amount of damage that is done out here. But let's just go ahead and just show you some of the most massive damage you can see. This is on White Street in Athens. This is the Save-A-Lot. You can see roped off now, a line of trees behind it also down. And Marco, we've kind of been around. We've seen a lot of trees down, a lot of damage. A lot of houses have been damaged here.
It's crazy to think about because that's what you're seeing is that Save-A-Lot. But that's not the only damage we've seen. You go across the street and that destruction continues at several other businesses, and then right behind it at some homes, some residences. And what's interesting is you don't have to be have an aerial view to see the line of destruction where the tornado came right through, and you can see the branches and the debris that's hanging up on those trees.
And earlier today I talked to a business owner. He owns a tire shop just across the street here from the Save-A-Lot. He tells me that they lost a lot. I mean, that entire waiting room, all the glass walls were completely blown out, a couple inches of water there on the ground. So we talked to him. He is in good spirits. Let's hear what he had to say.
They said I had a little wind damage, but when I got over here, I found that a little different. Waiting on the insurance to call me and tell me what I need to do, and we'll start loading the inventory or whatever we need to do here. But we'll build back, no problem.
Yeah, definitely, as you can hear, in good spirits there. So he is just hoping that they can rebuild. He does have insurance. A lot of the same situation with a lot of people as well. The local newspaper here, too, still trying to get a newspaper out today, but their roof is blown off. So
that says something, doesn't it?
It does.
Their devotion to journalism.
A lot of dedication.
And one of the other things I had heard about when we were at a press conference earlier with the county mayor and with other officials, several of those fire officials, they brought a search and rescue team from Chattanooga to come up here and start looking for people who may be trapped in their homes. And a lot of these guys were coming as well from Gatlinburg, where the destruction and the fires have happened out there. The Inglewood Volunteer Fire Department, their guys had been out there for 20 hours fighting fires in the mountains. They got the call to come out here, and they came out here and are continuing to do work. And I said, when do you get some rest? They said, hopefully tonight.
A lot of destruction in East Tennessee this week, and a lot of hard work from crews out there for sure.
It's been a tough one, but again, what I heard, at least from the county mayor out here, is please send your prayers. McMinn County needs them as well today.
Absolutely. Back to you guys.
All right, guys, thanks. Another tragic story making headlines today. A man has been charged with murdering his parents.
Yeah, he was picked up in Louisiana. The parents from West Knox. The sheriff's office says the crime scene's horrific. What we found out that may have driven him to this. We're going to come right back after this on Local 8. It's just one of those days of tragedy here in East Tennessee. We're now learning about a vicious death. Knoxville couple killed. The suspect is their son. Welcome back to Local 8 News. I'm Ted Hall.
I'm Amanda Hara. Police described this crime scene as horrific and gruesome during a news conference earlier today. Local 8 News reporter Donovan Long was there and listened as the details of the investigation unfolded. All right, having some issues there, but I talked a little bit about this with him when he was walking in, and he said some pretty horrific things, that pieces
In the town of Athens, my dad described it as a war zone. Poor cell service, they're working on that. On a positive note, in the midst of all this tragedy, one of the homes in Athens that experienced severe damage, a husband and wife were able to make it to the hospital thanks to firefighters and deliver a baby girl. So some good news in the midst of all this tragedy that we've been talking about. Chief Meteorologist Todd Howe joining us now with the very latest. And Todd, we were looking at some of the statistics of this storm. 135 mile per hour winds, right. A path 11.5 miles long, 200 yards wide. We do know that this was an EF2 tornado from the National Weather Service, and then a second tornado in Polk County, an EF3.
Yeah, a low-end EF3 with max winds of 140 miles per hour in Polk County near Ocoee. So Ocoee and Athens, 2 tornadoes. You know, we would love to have a celebration talking about much needed rainfall, and certainly we do rejoice in the rain, but unfortunately 2 tornadoes with a good bit of damage, especially in Athens. So we had to take the bad with the good last night. Tornadoes in East Tennessee. Now, let's talk more about our rainfall amounts. That was certainly the good news. Here's the updated select 24-hour rainfall totals. And on the high end, Tellico Village, and this is in the last 24 hours, 5.5 inches. If you add in Monday night's rainfall, even higher amounts than that. So these are just 24-hour totals. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Oh, by the way, this is the last day of November. And some areas now have a surplus for the month of November, after going with record drought conditions and dry conditions for the month just in the last 2 days. How about that? Yeah, the spigot got turned back on the last day and a half, especially Knoxville, and this is at the airport, 4.81 inches. Just in the last 24 hours, Morristown 4.2, Chattanooga 3.99 inches. Very good news for the Chattanooga area. Crossville 2.4 in the last 24 hours, but you saw decent amounts also before that Monday night, at least around a half inch or so. And Gatlinburg 1.3 inches officially in Gatlinburg. On the lower end, I know, we would almost like that to be flipped upside down, but hey, at least we'll take those rainfall totals. And more specifically, you can see where the heavier rains were focused south of Crossville. And again, on our map, you can kind of see how that's not quite as heavy into parts of the mountains, whereas the valley areas and the plateau saw some of the heavier amounts between Knoxville and Maryville, 3.9 inches again in the last 24 hours. But as we saw at the airport, even higher amounts than that. And there you see some select totals just under 5 inches in parts of Ray, Meigs, into McMinn County, including Athens, after tornadoes, heavy rainfall, just shy of 5 inches. So there's a look at that confirmed EF2 tornado just to the southwest of Athens. Again, max winds 135 miles per hour. We're still getting updated information. Again, this has not been reported, showing up yet for Athens and Ocoee. But EF2 tornado Athens, EF3 tornado Ocoee, confirmed. Much more information on that, and littered with wind damage elsewhere across the region. Meanwhile, we're looking at light rain showers making their way through parts of the valley into the mountains. So the rain kind of on the way out. For folks in Gatlinburg, a little bit more rain is going to be coming in. So heads up for our crews reporting from Gatlinburg. You got about 10 minutes for more rain showers moving on in. Of course, let it pour. Don't mind getting wet, right? A little bit more rain. Then we're going to see improving conditions after that leading edge of showers moves out this evening. Sunshine returning for your Thursday, December 1st. We're all ready to turn the page into a brand new month, right? We got the rain. We've had some storm damage. Now we'll see some sunshine, cool weather for your Thursday, December 1st. Brand new day, brand new month. We all need that, don't we? Here's a look at those rain showers moving off to the east. And again, still some clouds around, decreasing clouds with this cold front sliding in. And that's what we'll be seeing later on. Streets still wet at the airport and Alcoa Highway, 60 degrees, rain's falling, and winds are west at 16 miles per hour, and the pressure's slowly falling. Look at the cooler temperatures. That's what we're going to be talking about the rest of this week for Thursday and Friday. Sunshine, cool, dry weather will be returning. There's a look. They had tornadoes today in Atlanta, over near Athens, Georgia, and some damage in around the Atlanta area. There's the cool, dry weather. At least it is returning as we get back into our Thursday and Friday. Calming tonight, 41, a little bit cooler, and then 53. Sunshine returns, nice and cool. Still working on that 7-day. We got another chance for rain late this weekend and next week. For right now, let's send it back to you, Beth.
News conference today by saying McMinn County Mayor ended his news conference today by saying it's been a tough couple of weeks for East Tennessee, but I can't think of an area of the country that can handle it any better, we come back stronger. So true from McMinn County all the way to Gatlinburg and Sevier County. We are seeing this play out, certainly. Your prayers are appreciated. And one thing that they've continued to stress, from Gatlinburg down to McMinn, we are resilient communities. We all come together and we all help each other out. So seeing the best of people, certainly in the worst of times, and that continues in McMinn County. I talked about those firefighters from Inglewood and Athens. They are exhausted. The fire chief in Athens gave an update on them today, saying that they left the staging area to get back to McMinn. They've had no sleep. They're worn out, but he said, we serve our community and we do it with pride. Certainly echoed all the way to Gatlinburg as well. Want to bring in Mary Scott on the phone, joining us now from McMinn County. You've been down there all day. You've seen the damage, the destruction firsthand, and you talk to the people there that call it home. Mary?
Yes, that's right, Beth. I'm standing here in this Save a Lot Food parking lot, and this is just a giant pile of rubble right now. It once was a grocery store that employed about 30 people, and I talked to the owner and people who've worked here for 30 years. They said this was their livelihood, and, you know, right around the holidays to have for this community. But this is just a piece of what I'm seeing here. In fact, it stretches much further into homes and neighborhoods. There's one neighborhood in particular, Deerfield Estate, that has been destroyed for the most part. And this actually, I heard you talking about earlier, in that park, there was a mobile home with a woman inside. She was 39 weeks pregnant. And she was inside that mobile home with her children when the tornado hit last night about 1:45. It flipped, it twisted. She was actually thrown. And after the tornado ended, she got up, she got her kids, put them in the car. She drove a little ways, and at that time, the power went out of the neighborhood. And she tried calling 911 again. She finally did that. And when she did, they were able to walk about 3 miles to get to her. And she gave birth today to a healthy baby girl, and one of her children is at UT Medical Center. So they have had some injuries, and obviously it's very traumatic, but the good news is that they're okay.
And they are celebrating a tremendous blessing. What a story, for sure.
I know.
Story of survival. Mary Scott is in McMinn County in the city of Athens. She's going to continue to bring us updates and more stories of hope, too, and recovery coming up. Mary Scott, thanks so much for the live update. We appreciate you joining us by phone. And we're coming right back after a quick break. Stay with us.
Cleaning the gutters on your home is a dangerous chore. So call the Ultimate Gutter Guard by Southern, serving Knoxville for 50 years. The Ultimate Gutter Guard is the leaf-free gutter system that keeps leaves and other debris out of your gutters. Plus, call now for special savings. Get the Ultimate Gutter Guard now for only $49 down and $49 a month. Plus, call during this program for a bonus. Receive a $25 gas card with your in-home estimate. Call now, 1-800-660-2842.
Our hearts and prayers are with all the businesses, the families, the fire crews, and our friends working the wildfires in Sevier County. Evacuees will need continued support as they rebuild their community. Please join WBIR in supporting evacuees by donating to the Red Cross. Text Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation, or visit redcross.org/donate today. Thank you, straight from our hearts.
In the wake of deadly wildfires in Sevier County, you can help reach out to folks in need with our 30-minute wildlife relief effort, Smokies Strong. It all benefits the American Red Cross of East Tennessee. How you can help the community during this time of devastation and rebuilding. You can join us on WBIR at 7 o'clock for this powerful look at how your support is already helping the thousands impacted by the fires. Then at 7:30, a special look into a message of hope, family, and faith. Christmas of Many Colors shows a family's strength through overcoming hardships and their resilience to survive. Sounds like a message that we've heard a lot the last couple of days. That strong faith is what Dolly and all of Sevier County want to focus on right now. It binds us all during times of tragedy. Join us at 7:30 as we celebrate the strength of Sevier County's people. Christmas of Many Colors airs tonight at 9 o'clock. We're coming right back.
Straight from the heart of East Tennessee,
This is 10 News at 5.
We want to offer you some perspective on this hard-hit region, and I want you to focus your attention on the chimney tops. That's where that wildfire started there at the bottom of your screen in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It's ballooned to 15,000 acres, but then as you move up the map there into Gatlinburg, we turn our focus to a central part of this story, and that is the Westgate Resort.
And for the second day, our Michael Crow was there at the resort. And Michael, you actually talked to people today who shared with you some scary moments as they escaped the fire.
Absolutely. You know, more than 1,200 people were staying there at the time, and many employees braved that fire as cabins were burning to get those guests out in time. When wildfire roared through the Westgate Smoky Mountain Resort, it took so much. But if not for the quick work of some brave employees, it might have taken a lot more.
Oh, it was like hell. That's all I can say.
Ray Jones oversees transportation for the resort. Now, while buying masks to brave the smoke and assess the damage, he recalls how his team braved the peak of the fire, running door to door, warning guests to get out as flames bore down on their cabins, leaping from building to building.
But the guests all got out safely. Thank God. Thank God.
Altogether, 1,200 people were staying there. 700 had to be evacuated at the last second.
The traffic was enormous. The fire was enormous. It was just turmoil everywhere you looked.
Employees who stayed to make sure everyone got out recall those moments.
There was cars stopped on the road. People were screaming, honking their horns. I heard people yelling for help. The scaredest I've ever been in my life.
Altogether, they lost 70 buildings, 2/3 of the complex. Now they plan to rebuild, opening their remaining cabins in 2 weeks and renovating completely within 18 months. But for now, they're thanking those that made sure the structures were the only thing lost.
You know, I really feel thankful that our team members stepped up.
They risked their own life. They got everyone out uninjured and alive.
And the chief operating officer you saw there, he estimates at least hundreds of millions of dollars of damage. They say construction is going to start on Friday to get things up and running again.
Wow, Michael Crow, thank you. Just one of the stories, the 14,000 people who were evacuated from this area on that harrowing night.
Well, 14,000 evacuated and some missing. We've been hearing from a lot of you about one family in particular, and that is the Reed family. The husband searching desperately for his wife and 2 children. During the 4 o'clock briefing, we asked authorities about this family. At this point, they have no information as to the whereabouts of the wife and the 2 daughters. Now, an update on another family. This is the Summers family. We have learned today that the 3 patients at Vanderbilt Burn Center are indeed the 3 sons of the Summers family. What we do know also is the parents have not been found at this point. But as we've been telling you, those 3 patients at Vanderbilt Burn Center, they are indeed 3 brothers, the Summers brothers.
The TBI saying if you know people who are missing, call 1-800-TBI-FIND, but they want people who are in regular contact with those missing people to call and leave those lines open if you're just worried but you don't talk regularly to that person. We're back with more of our wildfire coverage and the recovery effort. Also, the rescue is still ongoing today in this day 2, right after this. Back live just outside of Gatlinburg, and the rain is falling yet again here. We had a deluge earlier today.
Yes, but rain, bad weather, tornadoes specifically impacting another region of East Tennessee overnight. That is McMinn County. We want to go there. Reporter Caitlin Ross there to bring us up to date on what was now confirmed a tornado that touched down there.
The damage here is severe. There are downed limbs and power lines everywhere. The wind knocked the roof clear off of this house. Crews say it will take weeks to figure out just how bad this was.
I haven't seen the full extent of it yet, but it does look like a war zone back there.
Anthony Cavalucci is trying to assess just how bad the tornado was, but the damage is making it difficult.
Some of the roads are blocked with tree debris, and we can't get through because crews crews are cleaning the roads right now.
The only road connecting the hardest hit areas is closed down for more than a mile as crews struggle to get through.
I want to find the beginning point, I want to find the end point of this tornado, and I'd like to know the strongest winds within that entire path.
The nonstop rain has made things even more difficult, soaking the hardest hit areas and flooding the roads.
We do need this rain. It's beneficial, but I wish it would stop so we can get the determination out there.
Complicating the cleanup even more, the tornado knocked down a Verizon tower, so it's made communicating in town even more difficult for emergency crews. Reporting in Athens, Caitlin Ross.
And Mother Nature impacting, as you can see, so many regions of East Tennessee. Back here in Gatlinburg, the rain has started once again. It's been falling a good portion of the day. Much needed rain to help bring these fires under control.
We're going to bring you much more of the long-term forecast from Chief Meteorologist Todd Howe coming up right after this short break.
A better view tonight of the damage left behind in McMinn County after an EF2 tornado ripped through this community. 135 mile-per-hour winds with a path of 11.5 miles in length and 200 yards in width, leaving behind lots of damage. Not certain this exact highway, but I can tell you tonight that a number of roads continue to be closed in McMinn County. The tornadoes damaged or destroyed more than 30 structures. 20 people were injured, 4 people still in the hospital. They have had major power outages. I know that Athens Utility Board is working around the clock to restore power. They've been able to do so in some of those areas. They've had poor cell service. The Highway 307, which leads to Nyota, I'm told was hard hit. Lots of subdivisions there trying to clean up after the tornado moved through. A lot of displaced families right now. We're looking at damage at one of the stores on Highway 30, White Street, a Save-A-Lot there. The owner certainly worried about his employees. A horrible time for this to happen. He's worried about providing for them during the holidays. Here's some more information. Touchdown at 1:20. We say 4 miles south-southwest of Athens, east 4 miles east of Nyota. Just that path kind of just went straight through. I think it began at Cedar Springs Road, which is takes you into Riceville, and just moved north. And it's certainly the pictures, the images that we're seeing. Crews working around the clock. They are exhausted. They've been working throughout the night. Some of the information here, Todd, just to give us an idea of the strength of an EF2.
Yeah, you see it right there, 111 to 135 mile per hour winds. So it was a strong EF2. That's on the high end of the EF2 scale. And then if you look at the EF3, 136 to 165, we had a low-end EF3 tornado in Ocoee. That was just confirmed within the last hour from the National Weather Service in Morristown. The National Weather Service offices do all the official surveys, post-storm analysis and surveys. They go out, they survey it on the ground, from the air, and then they give it a rating, enhanced Fujita scale rating that's based on the amount of damage done to certain materials and structures. And so they look at the damage to certain materials and structures, and they estimate the wind speeds from that. Not like looking at a tornado like the movie Twister. Oh, that looks like an EF4. No, they look at the damage. And so EF2 strong in McMinn County, low in EF3 in Ocoee, 2 confirmed damaging tornadoes.
And we're hearing heroic stories of rescues out of McMinn County. Mary Scott bringing us a bright story in all this tragedy. The tornado picked up a mobile home inside a mother and her kids. She was 39 weeks pregnant. It flipped the mobile home on her side through her. She was able to, I believe, get in a car, try to get to the hospital. Firefighters hiked in 3 miles to get to her to the hospital, and we're happy to report that she delivered a healthy baby.
That's,
unbelievable.
That sounds like a movie script almost, but that was real life. You know, in the Gatlinburg fires, the gentleman and his wife, that just reminds me too, in the midst of terrible things going on, racing down the mountain. Can't see the road or anything, but good came out of it. They made it down alive, and that's another good news story.
And the county mayor
that's incredible, actually.
McMinn, certainly they're counting their blessings. He was asked about no fatality, and he said, I don't get into why the good Lord allows things to happen. He's a higher authority. We're just going to thank him. None of us are deserving of the grace, but we'll take it. He also talked about the resiliency and how this community will build back stronger, and words that we've heard echoed throughout Sevier County as well. We've had a lot of rainfall, some parts more than others. Speaking of Sevier County, only about an inch and a half, if that.
Yeah, as far as the last 24 hours, we'll take a look at some of these select rainfall totals, including Gatlinburg. 1.30 inches, 1.3 inches in Gatlinburg officially. So somewhat lesser amounts, but it's all good. It rained really good last night. But look at the comparison. Tellico Village, 5.5 inches. 4.81 inches in the last 24 hours in Knoxville. Actually, I can update that, 4.86 inches because a little bit more rain slid in late this afternoon. So a little bit of an update, keeps climbing. And that's a daily rainfall record. And how about that? 4.86 inches, a daily rainfall record. And we just blew right by the average rainfall for November, I think 4.30 inches or so. So I have to look that total up again. But the record books are going to show a surplus for Knoxville. But it has to have an asterisk beside it because that was in the last 36 hours. The whole rest of the month was bone dry, right, for the most part. Morristown 4.2, Chattanooga nearly 4. Great news there in Chattanooga. They need the rain. Crossville 2.4, and again Gatlinburg 1.30 inches. So here's a look at the swath just in the last 24 hours. Heaviest rain south of Crossville, Cumberland County, Ray and Meigs, and then worked its way from Knoxville, Morristown. Lighter amounts, unfortunately, in the mountains, some of these same areas where they need it, but nonetheless, at least we did see some of the rainfall in the mountainous regions. And again, some of those select totals, just under 5 inches in the southern half of East Tennessee. Matter of fact, Athens, just under 5 inches of rain, whereas we just talked about confirmed EF2 tornado 4 miles southwest of Athens and tracked just east of Niota. And the Athens-Madisonville road suffering the most damage there. The Coe EF3 tornado not on the map yet. That information coming from the National Weather Service in Morristown. Other storm reports and damage working their way to the east. All right, we have a little bit more light rain showers. You saw John and Robin reporting live from Gatlinburg with the hoods up. That's great, as we need the rain. Tough to report in, but we've got rain showers falling from Pigeon Forge, Dollywood to Gatlinburg and Wares Valley and Cades Cove. Another little thin line of showers will be possible as we go into this evening, as we'll take a look at that in a moment. Here's a look at the big picture, actual cold front back to our west, and some of that shower activity near that cold front, that's the feature that will slide in. So we'll have a chance for some of that light rain through early this evening, then decreasing clouds, sunshine for your Thursday, December 1st. Thumbs up for that. Looks like a beautiful day after getting some of that much needed rain. I know, the storms too. A lot of times take the bad with the good, right? 69 the high, 57 the low so far. There's that daily rainfall record. And look at the month now, 5.77 inches. Our deficit for the year was over 10 inches. Now it's just 5. It's amazing what 36 hours of rainfall can do for your total. So absolutely amazing there. Again, we are going to see the gradual clearing skies as we head into your Thursday and Friday for the rest of the week. So lows tonight right around 41. Could have some patchy fog overnight. Watch out for that. And then sunshine return for your Thursday, December 1st with cool temperatures. Certainly we'll look forward to that.
All right, Todd, one more note from McMinn County. The county mayor said they do feel that very confident everyone is accounted for, but if you are missing a loved one or a friend, family member, certainly call 911. Also, if you need assistance, they've opened a shelter at Keith Memorial Methodist Church. That is in downtown Athens, about a couple of blocks from the downtown square. They have food, items, including cleanup materials that you may need. Well, coming up, we will continue our live coverage from Gatlinburg with a story of survival as that city picks up the pieces after deadly fires. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
We're going to show you another pocket hit hard in that Monday night firestorm here in Gatlinburg and around this small community. This is the Cobley Knob area with some 70 homes damaged or lost just in that one pocket of this area.
Authorities have been sifting through all the rubble. Well, 10 News reporter Brandon Bates met up with a Gatlinburg police officer who, in the midst of the rubble, found something beautiful and untouched by the flames.
In the middle of the chaos of trying to put an end to these wildfires, crews worked tirelessly to put out the flames. But in the middle of all the devastation, one local police officer did something extremely special.
When I saw the flag land underneath the debris, Felt it was the right thing to do as far as that goes. I did not want to see it there and let it burn.
Officer Jordan Henderson saw the flag and knew in his heart that he had to do something.
I originally saw it and I folded it up and I was going to take it with me. And then I was looking at the Gatlinburg sign and I figured it'd be best to keep it here at home. So I cleaned it up and hung it up there.
The sign welcoming you to a city that's been visited by millions, now a city that will need to be rebuilt. Officer Henderson says during the last few days he's seen things he'll never forget.
Kind of took me back a little bit because I was seeing people's entire lives that were taken away, and they haven't even had an opportunity to figure out if their homes were still there or not. So after taking that in and absorbing that, it was a little heartbreaking, realizing what you're actually looking at and understanding that these people have lost pretty much their entire livelihoods up here.
Henderson says the Smokies have been a huge part of his life growing up and hopes the destruction is only temporary. Reporting in Sevier County, I'm Brandon Bates.
This certainly is a small community, if you will, about 4,000 people, and so many of us wanting to help out. Well, tonight at 7 o'clock, we're going to provide you that opportunity. We are coming together with the Red Cross to benefit this community. We hope you'll tune in for that. It is Smoky Strong. It starts at 7 o'clock.
Right after that is 7:30, our special on the new Dolly movie, Christmas of Many Colors. We certainly need, in all this heartache, to hear some good. And this is a story we expect will be very inspirational to a lot of folks in East Tennessee who have endured not just fires, but tornadoes and deep losses just in the last couple of weeks.
And very appropriate because, of course, this is Dolly Parton's home. So we hope you'll tune in for our benefit, Smoky Strong starting at 7 o'clock, and Christmas of Many Colors coming up at 7:30. And coming up on 10 News at 6, of course, we will have the very latest details on this story that has been playing out for the last couple of days, a firestorm that has ripped through Sevier County and Gatlinburg proper.
We'll update you on the number of deaths, the number of structures that have been lost, and also some of the harrowing rescues that are still being told on this day 2 of recovery and rescue effort here in the mountains near Gatlinburg. 10 News at 6 starts right now.
10 News is brought to you in high definition exclusively by Harper Auto Square. You are watching WBIR TV Channel 10 Knoxville. The news starts now.
It has an emotional toll for sure, but we're grounded in our faith.
Like so thankful, and no matter what you lost, you still have your family, and that's all that matters.
You hear this and it sounds so cliched, but this is the volunteer spirit, and this is what this community is all about.
It's amazing how God works. It's amazing how He watches over us, takes care of us.
The fire can destroy a building, but it can't take away the memories.
We're still working. We're still out there. We're still doing our jobs.
So we're going to be okay, and that's our message. We're going to be okay.
Welcome back to our ongoing coverage of the wildfire situation in Gatlinburg and the surrounding communities. What a couple of days it's been. Rain falling yet again behind us. That's certainly helping firefighting efforts today, both in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and also in the surrounding area, Gatlinburg and the other pockets that were hard hit by that blast of a wildfire on Monday night.
We want to get straight to the latest information as we received it earlier this afternoon at 4 o'clock. A briefing from authorities who have been monitoring this situation since it started on Monday night. This is the latest. The confirmed death toll now from these fires in Sevier County and Gatlinburg now stands at 7. 3 additional bodies found today. As far as the injured, that number has gone up as well. 53 people taken to hospitals to be treated. At last check, 3 patients still remain at Vanderbilt Burn Center with significant burns. They turn out to be brothers, the Summer brothers. We'll be talking more about that. Let's talk about the structures now impacted by the blazes. As of yesterday in Sevier County, they said 150 structures were either damaged or destroyed. That number has now been upped to 400. In the city of Gatlinburg, That number is now 300, bringing it well over 700 structures impacted here in Sevier County.
We want to give you an overview of some of the hardest hit places on a map that we're showing on our screen now. This gives you a sense of the communities that we've been talking about in Wares Valley, in Cobley Knob, in the Gatlinburg area, as well as some of the most devastation we've seen in the pockets that are tucked in the hills here in Sevier County. We want to turn first to Becca Habiger, who has more on the recovery and rescue effort today. Becca?
My husband was running downstairs. He was screaming, "Get in the car, get in the car."
It was a narrow escape for Chasleen Bryant and her husband Jonathan, their 4 kids, and 2 dogs. But the family's 2 cats could not be found in time to escape. When the Bryants returned home on Tuesday, this is what greeted them.
We seen the devastation, which we kind of expected, but your mind can't see it any other way until you see it.
We met them Wednesday outside their Hidden Lake Estates home in Wares Valley, where they returned to search for their remaining missing cat.
We got one yesterday, and we came back for him today, and here he is, and he's shocked. He's really shocked.
And the cat's name is Awesome.
He used to walk when he was a kitten on his hind legs, and that's how he got his name, because he did all these awesome things.
Including now surviving a wildfire.
I was scared when it happened, and I was crying.
And how do you feel now?
Good, since I got my cat back and everything.
The Bryants have lived in Wares Valley for about 5 years, but had just moved into this home in June. Now it's gone.
I don't even own a spoon. I don't own a toothbrush, but these babies, my family, you know, I have them. And to me, I feel lucky. I don't care what was in there. I have them and I have this community.
Belongings can be replaced. It's people and pets that cannot.
Wares Valley tonight, and throughout the whole area, I've been hearing from a lot of evacuees that this fire has really put into perspective for them what is truly important in life, which is really, of course, one another and those pets. And I should mention the cat was found in a tree in the woods behind me here in Hidden Lake Estates. They came back hoping against hope that he would be okay and all right. And as you saw, Awesome the cat is safe tonight. Back to you.
Thank goodness for small miracles. That is wonderful to hear. Thank you so much, Becca. Well, here at the command center at Rocky Top, we do have power, but for a lot of people in this area, they are still without electricity tonight. Sevier County Electric sharing with us, of their 50,000 customers, about 9,000 of them still without power. But of course, the work is underway to get those power poles back up. So many of them fell over in the storms and the winds that pushed through, and certainly that has hampered efforts as far as rescue and recovery.
And some of those homes they were admitting may not be there, that they have supplied power to for years. We turn now again to Madison Wade, another of our reporters, covering the specifics of the day with this press conference and the latest update. Still a lot of unanswered questions, Madison.
Yeah, absolutely. Still missing people to report and other things, of course, answers that we all want questions we all want answers to, rather. Well, one thing that struck a chord with me was a Sevier County mayor who said normally there would be city lines, county lines, but right now there is none of that. Everyone is working together. Everyone is working their hardest to get into those underlying areas where people really can't get earlier. So that is obviously a priority, is to check out the rest of the 70% of this area that has still not been looked at, of course, and 15,000 plus acres burned. That is a lot of land to look. So that's going to take a lot of people on the ground looking and continuing to look for missing people, just getting an access of the damage out here as well. Well, earlier we also spoke to the former mayor of Gatlinburg, who also had to rescue some people in some property that he lost, and this is what he told us.
Gosh, the last couple of days I've had to evacuate people out of their houses. I had a little 83-year-old school teacher that I knocked on her door. I said, "We've got to go right now." She had her house coat on. She said, "Well, let me get my clothes on." I said, "You don't have time. We got to go right now." She said, "Well, I got to get my dog." So I grabbed her dog and I grabbed her, put them in the truck, and as she walked out the front door, the whole hillside was on fire.
And Madison, they said a lot more that we'll learn about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing they are looking into whether this was human caused or not, and that is also a priority as well.
Yeah, the park has investigators on the scene as we speak. Madison Wade, thanks very much for that.
We have been hearing from so many of you who are concerned about people who have still not shown up after what has happened earlier this week, the fires. And the TBI has set up a hotline where you can call them to provide them with information on people who you still have not heard from. That number, 1-800-TBI-FIND. Once again, 1-800-TBI-FIND. They ask that you call if this is someone that you speak to regularly and you have not heard from them. Give them a call and they'll do their best to connect you or provide you with information.
And they're hoping to have more specifics, Robin, on the number of missing tomorrow. Again, at 11 o'clock, we'll hopefully learn that and more. We do know a little bit more about the school system here.
We certainly do. We have learned that Sevier County schools, all of them will be back in class tomorrow, except for Pi Beta Phi Elementary and Gatlinburg Pittman. Pi Beta Phi will not be open the rest of the week. They're hoping that Gatlinburg Pittman will be open by Friday. In Cocke County, all schools open there except Smoky Mountain Elementary. We will certainly keep you updated on the duration of these outages as far as these small particular schools, but that's what we know so far as schools.
Another big question at that press conference, when can homeowners and property owners get back inside and see those properties? That's another question that should be answered at 11 o'clock tomorrow.
We want to go now to 10 News reporter Michael Crow, who is at the Westgate area where it was heavily damaged. This is what he saw.
The devastation at Westgate Smoky Mountain Resort is shocking. When the wildfire roared through, it left little behind.
We lost 70 buildings, comprising about 800 keys of units, our check-in facility, restaurant, and we lost our laundry facility.
Many of those structures were taken down to just the foundations. Westgate's Chief Operating Officer Mark Waltrip says the fire reduced the resort to about 1/3 of its former size. But luckily, all of the 1,200 guests staying there escaped without injury. And now they look to the future.
In spite of the rumors of our demise, we plan to be cleaned up and open within the next 2 weeks. We will have the resort not only rebuilt, but built even better within the next 18 months. We start construction on Friday. We have all our architects, engineers, planners are here on site.
As for the 1,100 people employed by the resort, Westgate says about 2/3 will keep their current jobs and 1/3 will have a choice to join a construction or cleanup crew or transfer to another Westgate property across the country.
Our goal is to put back almost everybody so they don't have to go through Christmas without a job.
We want to go now to 10 News reporter Jim Matheny, who actually met up with a woman who he met just recently, a new citizen of the United States who calls Gatlinburg her home. The question was her home still standing?
Well, here at Cobley Knob, people are finally getting a chance to get back up on the mountain and see what, if anything, is left of their homes. And in many cases, this is what they're finding: nothing. House after house after house burned down to the foundation, along with plenty of obstacles with a lot of utility lines still down and cables draped across the road. And a lot of people have said waiting has been the hardest part because they have not been able to come up here and see what is left. That includes Julia Lutzana.
Well, this is my neighbor's home. It is literally nothing left but a chimney.
Julia was born in Italy, just became a U.S. citizen. Her world caught on fire while she was out of state celebrating a truly American holiday.
Some family time for Thanksgiving with my husband's family. A friend of mine called and said, there's fires in Gatlinburg.
She watched reports of homes turned to ashes, and then got a text showing the office where she works in Gatlinburg and her car parked outside burned to a crisp.
That was shocking. Reality started to sink in that, that's what was going to be what my home looked like.
Downed power lines and thick smoke kept Julia away until a rain-soaked Wednesday when she finally made it, and so had her house.
I woke up this morning thinking that I had nothing left, that I had to start literally from scratch, and to come here to find that I still had a house was just surreal.
There's still no power in the neighborhood, so Julia, her husband, and her pets will be staying with a friend.
So I'm just getting enough clothes for another couple of days.
While it may seem like a miracle her home is still standing, there are plenty of clues their good fortune is actually the result of someone's hard work.
That mask that obviously a firefighter left here, putting their lives in danger for me, that is a debt I'll never be able to repay. And there's my husband cleaning up the neighborhood, trying to help where he can.
A Thanksgiving holiday that ends so thankful they will not have to rebuild their house. And there's already been so much damage to this region she calls home.
You got people who are ready to give you the shirts off their backs. This is when the true colors of your community shows. It's when things like this happen.
Julia and her husband say they feel fortunate not only because their home is still standing, but because that means they will now be in a position to help others, the same way others came to their aid and saved their house while they were out of state. Reporting in Sevier County, I'm Jim Atheny. We'll send it back to you.
So happy to hear this, but unfortunately, so many others still displaced. Hopefully they'll find out tomorrow when they can see if their home is standing.
We're seeing some other breaking news on this Wednesday. First, we're going to take you to our south. McMinn County saw a tornado touchdown. We're going to check in with Todd on the latest on the weather front. Also, a gruesome murder in Knox County. Police investigating a man for killing his parents. We're back with those stories after this short break.
Well, a man faces first-degree murder charges in the deaths of his parents in West Knox County. Authorities have taken 28-year-old Joel Michael Guy Jr. into custody. Guy is a college student in Louisiana. The Knox County Sheriff's Office called the crime scene gruesome. Investigators say the parents suffered multiple stab wounds and were dismembered. The Sheriff's Office says the couple was last seen Friday. WBIR 10 News anchor Kendall Morris joins us from West Knox County, where the couple's remains were found in their home Monday.
Investigators say they received phone calls from people who work with Lisa Guy on Monday asking them to go check on her because she didn't show up for work that day. They came to this house on Golden View Lane only to find what is being described as a gruesome crime scene inside.
Just horrifying. Think the quiet neighborhood where everyone waves at each other and willing to help each other. This can happen on our street. It's just hard to believe that can happen.
In the small cul-de-sac of Golden View Lane, neighbors stood outside Monday night wondering why crime scene tape and law enforcement filled their neighborhood in West Knox County.
No one had any clue. Watching everything unfold with neighbors, speculating ourselves, trying to guess.
Neighbors watched as investigators went in and out of Lisa and Joel Guy Sr.'s house. A hazmat team arrived later Monday night.
We started figuring it out that something very tragic had happened. We just didn't know the extent.
It would be described as horrific, a very gruesome crime scene.
Sheriff's officials say they found the remains of the guys inside. Investigators say Joel Guy Jr. stabbed, cut up, and placed the remains in an acid-based solution to destroy evidence.
Some of us have seen scenes like this. They are very, very rare. It's in the 1 percentile of homicides in the United States that involve mutilation or dismemberment.
Investigators are still working to find a motive.
I don't think anybody can imagine to the extent of the horror that went on.
But for the people who live close to Golden View Lane, the crime scene tape that remains is a reminder of the neighbors they lost.
Everyone just needs to come together and pray for the family and everyone that knows them and give support any way possible.
Joel Guy Jr. was taken into custody yesterday in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That is where he is believed to be in college there. Officials expect to bring him back to Knox County in the next few days. Back to you.
Just a horrible reality there, Kendall. Thank you so much. Well, authorities say the 18-year-old man accused of killing his former girlfriend knew exactly what he was doing. William Riley Gall, a former college football player, was charged with the shooting and murder of 16-year-old Emma Walker. The shooting happened last Monday, the 21st, at around 3 a.m. Officials say Gall shot 2 bullets into Walker's bedroom. The Knox County Sheriff's Office says Gall knew exactly where Walker was positioned and knew the trajectory of where the bullet would have went. Walker's father heard something like a door slamming in the middle of the night and she appeared okay at the time. Gall is currently in the Knox County Jail. We want to turn to our weather headlines now. Bring in Todd Howell Mother Nature continues to grab the headlines. We've been dealing with wildfires, and then overnight the tornadoes in McMinn County and Polk County, where they did have 2 fatalities from the storms in Polk County, the Ocoa area. Haven't talked a lot about that, but many people trying to clear out tonight and beginning that recovery effort.
Indeed, Beth. This is the last day of November, and can you believe we have a surplus for the month, and our rainfall depths for the year was just cut in half. Those are some of the good things. Sometimes to take the bad with the good with those, unfortunately, bad storms. A couple of tornadoes confirmed last night. More on that coming up. Hope you're having a good, safe Wednesday. Yeah, we're about ready to turn the corner into a brand new month, Thursday, December 1st, tomorrow, right around the corner. Do drive carefully. Some wet streets, a little bit of lingering light rain will still be possible early this evening, but for the most part, rain moving out. Very heavy rain, certainly in the last 24 hours. 60 degrees currently in Knoxville. Winds are southwest at 8, and the pressure slowly rising. Yeah, here's the almanac for Knoxville today. 69 the high, 57 the low. 4.86 inches of rain. That's a daily rainfall record. So glad to put a big R beside. Look at that. That's since midnight, 4.86 inches. For the month, 5.77 inches. And for the year, we were approaching 10.5 inches for the deficit, now just over 5, basically cut in half. And before the last 36 hours, we were running one of the driest Novembers on record. And now we're at a surplus. You have to put an asterisk by the monthly total in November for 2016, certainly, as that's just come in the last day and a half. Here are some of those select rainfall totals. Again, at Tellico Village, look at this, 5.5 inches. Knoxville, 4.81, 4.20 inches of rain in Morristown. Chattanooga, just shy of 4 inches. Very good rain there. Crossville, 2.40 inches. This is just in the last 24 hours, not taking into account Monday night, and certainly that was beneficial. 1.30 inches officially in Gatlinburg, so lighter amounts, but certainly welcome rain. Heaviest rains back toward the plateau into the southern valley. And there's a look at some lighter amounts. And that confirmed tornado now, EF2 tornado, for parts of McMinn County to the south and west of Athens. All right, so here's the weather story tonight. We've got a cold front that will continue to swing on through. Cool, dry weather will be returning as we get into your Thursday and Friday. So that's very good news in terms of the cooler temperatures and a chance to at least dry back out after that very heavy rainfall. Certainly it was very welcome, and now we've got some pleasant weather to end the week on. 41 tonight, calming, continue clearing, and then sunny skies return. Cool temperatures for your Thursday. Now looking ahead, cool temperatures into the weekend, showers late Sunday, and then showers more likely by Tuesday again, early next week.
All right, thanks so much, Todd. We appreciate it. Well, now to more on those storms that went through East Tennessee last night, killing 2 people in Polk County and hurting many more. I want you to look at this. This is a cell tower twisted from the storm's force, which explains why many in the area have had trouble with service. In addition to that, down lines. The National Weather Service says it was an EF2 tornado that touched down in McMinn County. 20 people were injured, 4 remain in the hospital, 30 structures were damaged, including homes, grocery stores, even a local newspaper. We turn now to 10 News anchor Mary Scott, who was there to see the damage firsthand.
Beth, we're here at what once was a grocery store, Save a Lot Foods. You can see the roof was actually picked up off of the foundation and set down into the parking lot here. This is just one example of what an EF2 tornado did to Athens here today. I was talking to firefighters earlier. They say they had to do about 6 different rescues from people out of their homes. And one of those was a woman who was 39 weeks pregnant.
Some very good news that came out of this today.
In a week filled with what seems to be all bad.
One of our hardest hit areas, one of our hardest hit homes.
A story of hope.
A new child came into the world.
When an EF2 tornado hit Athens, rescue officials say a woman 39 weeks pregnant and her children were inside a mobile home.
The mother was thrown from the home.
Everyone survived despite injuries. They tried to use their car to get out, but trees and power lines blocked them in. After an unknown amount of time, she was able to get to 911, and firefighters came to their rescue.
Those 4 crews actually walked about 3 miles through a lot of debris.
And that family's house had been destroyed, and they made it to the hospital and gave birth this morning. So we had 20 injured and 1 brand new life. So Lord works in mysterious ways.
is going to take weeks, possibly months, to rebuild here in Athens. But I just talked to this store owner earlier, and he told me that he plans to rebuild and he wants to help get all of his employees work during this holiday season, which is going to be a tough one. We're going to send it back to you now, Beth.
Got live in McMinn County, and they do have a shelter at Keith Memorial Methodist Church in Athens. We're coming right back.
Thank you for watching WBIR.
Tonight, double disaster, a rising death toll as wildfires, then tornadoes explode across the South. New threats, new warnings as a big part of the country gets hit with wild extremes. No charges in a fatal police shooting that sparked days of protests, why prosecutors say the officer was justified in using deadly force. Frantic final words from the pilot of that doomed jetliner, repeatedly telling air traffic control his plane was rapidly running out of fuel. How could this have happened? Art of the deal? Donald Trump turns a campaign rallying cry into action, saving jobs at Carrier from moving to Mexico. What did it take? And making it work, the big American company where every day is Take Your Child to Work Day, and employees couldn't be happier. Nightly News begins right now.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening. Trying times in the South tonight. Fire, water, and tornadoes, part of twin deadly disasters that have struck over the last 48 hours. Violent storms spawned twisters overnight, killing 5 people in 2 states, including Tennessee, which is still reeling from the firestorm that exploded the night before in the Great Smoky Mountains. And today we learned 3 more bodies have been recovered from the scorched ruins, bringing the death toll to at least 7. We've got it all covered, starting with NBC's Jacob Rascone in storm-damaged Alabama. Jacob, good evening.
Lester, good evening. Tornadoes reported in 6 states, and nowhere was hit harder than here in Rosalie, Alabama. I'm standing inside what used to be the town's only shopping plaza. The owner climbed out of the rubble alive, while several of his neighbors did not survive. Barreling through the southeast, dozens of tornadoes reported from Florida to Mississippi. Late today, pictures showing a possible funnel cloud near Atlanta, threatening a major metropolitan area.
It's devastating. I mean, it breaks my heart.
Overnight, the town of Rosalie, Alabama, devastated. The one shopping plaza reduced to piles of wood and bricks. The owner, Greg Day, astonished to be alive. Nearby, another survivor, Bob Wright, hoping to find pictures of his family members who did not make it.
I lost 2. My brother's boy, his daughter, and that boy's his boy's girlfriend.
Their mobile home tossed across the highway. 3 people died, 2 hospitalized, including Cynthia Wright. How do you remember them? How do you hope people remember them?
Good old people. That's about all I can do, buddy.
31 reported tornadoes in 2 days, the path of destruction spreading over 550 miles.
And I thought we were going to die last night.
Including through Polk County, Tennessee, where Jennifer Young, her husband, and 2 sons barely escaped.
I screamed at my husband saying, "There's a tornado coming, there's a tornado coming. Get the kids, grab the kids."
Their neighbors not so fortunate. 2 people killed. Back in Alabama, hope after a family of 7 took shelter inside the daycare center they own. The twister leaving nothing but the bathroom, the family recovering in a nearby hospital. The healing and the cleanup only just beginning. Jacob Rascone, NBC News, Rosalie, Alabama.
This is Kerry Sanders with our first up-close look at damage in Gatlinburg, one of the areas hardest hit by the out-of-control flames.
Hit the gas! Hit the gas!
In the aftermath of the frantic evacuations, now a different chaos, tracking down those still unaccounted for. No one's heard from Alice Hagler since the fire raced through her neighborhood.
My mother called me frantically that the house was on fire, but we got disconnected. And because of that, I haven't heard from her since.
Then there's Michael Reed, still waiting for news.
Looking for my wife, Constance, and my daughter, Lily, who's 9, and my other daughter, Chloe, who's 12.
The greatest fear? Those missing could be dead. Today, the death toll rose to at least 7. This morning, much-needed rain began to fall in the drought-stricken Smokies, but it was too little, too late. 17,000 acres here burned. Jerry Morgan lost all her mother's keepsakes, including photos, treasures that took on extra meaning after her mom died recently from cancer.
All of her china, all of her silverware. Everything's gone.
The baby. The Morgans escaped as the flames engulfed their driveway. They thought the fire department had the blaze under control. When you look at this, can you believe this?
No. We thought they would be able to stop it.
You prayed?
I prayed that they'd stop it.
In addition to the widespread devastation that goes on for blocks here just beyond downtown Gatlinburg, today the rain caused problems of mudslides and rock slides. Forecasters say tonight the threat of rain here with thunderstorms and through the south will continue, but by tomorrow it should be gone, which will allow folks, at least some here in Gatlinburg, to come back in and begin cleaning up. Lester?
All right, Kerry Sanders in Tennessee for us tonight. Thank you. There are new developments at a deadly police shooting that sparked violent protests. Prosecutors have decided not to charge an officer for the killing of Keith Lamont Scott in Charlotte, North Carolina in September. Authorities maintain Scott, whose wife recorded the confrontation, had a gun on him. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez has the latest.
Don't shoot him. Don't shoot him.
More than 2 months after this dramatic video stunned the nation, today the district attorney announced that Brent Vincent, the Charlotte police officer who shot and killed Keith Lamont Scott, will face no criminal charges.
It is my opinion that Officer Vincent acted lawfully when he shot Mr. Scott.
The shooting sparked nights of violent unrest here. Social media catapulted the story into the national spotlight based on false information, the prosecutor says. According to state investigators, initial witness accounts that Scott was holding a book proved to be false. His wife's statement that she didn't know he owned the weapon also false, according to investigators, based on text messages the month before about a firearm in his possession. And they say witness claims that it was a white officer who shot Scott are also untrue. Police say they were trying to serve a warrant to a different man at an apartment complex when they saw Scott with a gun and marijuana. Investigators say Scott ignored commands to drop the weapon at least 10 times.
Keith, don't you do it! Did you shoot him? Did you shoot him? Did you shoot him? He better not be dead.
The prosecutor also released new surveillance video of Scott at a nearby convenience store shortly before the deadly encounter.
The bulge you can see here is consistent with the holster and gun that was later described by officers and located at the scene.
What appears to be a holster also seen on a freeze frame from a police body camera. Still, Scott's family is planning a lawsuit and says there's no proof a gun was in his hand.
This is an open carry state, and so therefore, how do you jump from an open carry state to now there's imminent danger, aggravated imminent danger, and therefore deadly force should be used?
Police here are on high alert tonight. The Scott family is asking that any protests remain peaceful. Lester?
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you. We're learning a lot more information about what may have caused that tragic plane crash in South America that killed 71 people. 6 miracle survivors found in the wreckage. In the past hour, we got new video of the team on board the doomed flight before takeoff in high spirits for their upcoming championship. Also tonight, air traffic control audio reveals the pilot's urgent final words, repeatedly saying he was running out of fuel. We got the latest from NBC's Keir Simmons in Colombia.
In Colombia and Brazil, memorials instead of a soccer match. In the Brazilian team's empty locker room, flowers and candles. And tonight, a stunning recording obtained by the Associated Press, apparently between the control tower and the pilot, suggesting the players died because their plane ran out of fuel. We're asking for priority in our approach. We have a fuel problem. The controller tells the pilot he can start his approach in 7 minutes. 2 minutes later, the pilot again asks to land, but is told there's an aircraft below. She asks, how much time do you have to stay put? Fuel emergency, the pilot responds. I'm asking for immediate descent. A short time later, the pilot says the plane is in total electrical failure and out of fuel. The aircraft slams into the side of a hill short of Medellin Airport.
They should have had a minimum of 45 minutes of reserve fuel, and they only held for 7 or 8 minutes. So it's obvious that they were well into that reserve fuel.
Flight attendant Jimenez Suarez, one of 3 survivors being treated at this hospital, told doctors here the lights in the plane went out and then impact. 3 players survived. The team's backup goalie still in a coma. Are you amazed that he survived this?
Yes, I am.
Among the 71 who perished, a player known as Tiaguano, pictured last week finding out his wife was pregnant. His future as a father and the hopes of an entire team wiped out. Keir Simmons, NBC News, Medellin, Colombia.
We turn to politics now and the ongoing drama over who's in and who's out of President-elect Donald Trump's incoming administration. During the campaign, Trump repeatedly promised to drain the swamp in our nation's capital. But now, as our Hallie Jackson explains, he's choosing Washington, D.C. and Wall Street insiders to stack his team.
He won the White House partly by promising a purge in Washington.
We are going to drain the swamp.
But now, the president-elect's latest cabinet picks panned by Democrats. Quote, so much for draining the swamp, they say, accusing him instead of stocking it with alligators. Taking special aim at Steven Mnuchin, officially announced today as Donald Trump's choice to head the Treasury Department.
Feeling terrific.
He was Trump's chief fundraiser, a Hollywood financier behind movies like Mad Max, Fury Road, and a former Goldman Sachs banker who today pushed back against criticism he took advantage of homeowners during the financial crisis by buying a failing bank.
We bought it from the government in a highly competitive 6-month auction. And we saved a lot of jobs, and we created a lot of opportunities for corporate loans.
Trump's transition team argues there's no one better to help reform the tax code than private sector picks like Mnuchin and like newly named Commerce nominee, billionaire investor Wilbur Ross. So far, almost all the president-elect's administration picks have ties to Washington or Wall Street. And now it's insider and former Trump critic Mitt Romney who's in the hunt to lead the State Department. His second interview conducted over a dinner of steak, scallops, and frog legs.
He did something I tried to do and was unsuccessful in accomplishing. He won the general election. And he continues with a message of inclusion and bringing people together.
Today, the president-elect is announcing that in a couple of weeks, he plans to explain how he will, in his words, get completely out of business operations for the Trump organization, with one big question being whether he'll still have an ownership stake, Lester. That'll be his first news conference, by the way, in more than 4 months.
All right, Hallie, thanks very much. President-elect Trump also poised to make an announcement tomorrow, delivering on a promise to save jobs at an Indiana company. Carrier Air Conditioning says he has reached a deal to keep nearly 1,000 jobs in the state, half the number Carrier was planning to shift to Mexico. But what was the trade-off? NBC's Kevin Tibbles has reaction from employees.
Shift change in Indy. Carrier workers leave with a reprieve.
Our jobs are being saved.
A different mood from last February's announcement that 1,400 jobs were being moved to Mexico.
To move production from our facility in Indianapolis to Monterrey, Mexico.
Back then, candidate Donald Trump pounced.
If I were in office right now, Carrier would not be leaving Indiana. That I can tell you. That I can tell you.
Following negotiations over Thanksgiving, last night, a tweet from the president-elect. We will keep our companies and jobs in the U.S. Why did Carrier reverse course? While details have not been released, sources familiar with the negotiation say Carrier will receive tax incentives from the state, where Vice President-elect Mike Pence is governor. Sources add Carrier's parent company, United Technologies, a major defense contractor, now avoids angering the new administration.
10% of United Technologies' business, more than $5 billion, comes from the U.S. government, and the Pentagon is United Technologies' single biggest customer.
Robert James, who's made furnaces for 18 years, has questions too.
We need to know what's behind it. We need to know if there are anything that's going to be asked of the union.
But for J.T. Bray, raising a young family, relief.
Some people are saying this is a Christmas miracle here. We're getting to keep our jobs, and I'll be happy. I mean, the kids will be having a good Christmas, and we won't have that worry of Daddy won't have his job.
Tomorrow, the president-elect and Governor Pence will be here to tour the Carrier plant and talk to its workers. Lester?
Kevin Tibbles tonight in Indianapolis. Thank you. Still ahead, new details in a kidnapping mystery that has captured much of the nation's attention. What a mother of two is now telling police about the suspects she says held her captive.
We were literally on fire, driving through the fire.
All around us. There was fire up here on the right side. There was fire in front of us. There was fire on the left.
We're surrounded by flames and we have no escape and we're suffocating.
The burning, the destruction up there, unbelievable. It's just, it's incredible to see.
We've lost everything, but luckily, faith in Christ, we will be back.
There's always power in prayer.
You're like so thankful, and no matter what you lost, you still have your family, and that's all that matters.
The fire can destroy a building, but it can't take away the memories.
Good evening and welcome to our special wildfire relief effort. Once again, we are live here in Gatlinburg. We appreciate you joining us for our wildfire relief effort, Smoky Strong. I'm John Becker.
And I'm Robin Wilhoit. As you can well imagine, support is pouring in from all across East Tennessee, and the entire country for that matter, for the thousands of people who were impacted by these deadly fires. Fierce winds, up to 80-mile-per-hour plus winds, fueled those flames Monday night. Thousands of people were forced to evacuate their homes.
Here are the latest numbers. 7 confirmed deaths tied to this firefight. More than 50 people treated at LeConte Medical Center. Also tonight, 700 structures. We're talking about businesses, homes, and also outbuildings destroyed or damaged by those fires.
But there is hope. 3 people rescued today from the fire sites. All were cleared by doctors. All are safe tonight.
One of the biggest questions we have heard in the aftermath of the firefight was, how can we help?
That's exactly right. 10 News anchors Russell Biven and Abby Ham from first responders to community leaders show us this outpouring of support.
We've been covering these wildfires in Sevier County for going on 48 hours, and the number one thing we've seen from all the people we've spoken to, the emergency crews, those who've been evacuated from their homes, the volunteers, is the volunteer spirit is alive in this community.
Yeah, we have seen that from sorrow, there is always a silver lining, and here are some incredibly inspiring examples of exactly what we're talking about.
We've been the recipients of a tremendous amount of support from across the nation.
These guys have done a really good job, these first responders, and I can't praise them enough. They did well.
When I saw the flag land underneath the debris, felt it was the right thing to do. I originally saw it and I folded it up and I was going to take it with me, and then I was looking at the Gatlinburg sign and I figured it'd be best to keep it here at home, so I cleaned it up and hung it up there.
When I got up here, I drove to the top of the mountain and I realized the fires, how close they were to the cabins here, so I started knocking on doors and trying to get some of these guests out of here.
We're grounded in our faith, and we're trying to see this as an opportunity that we can see that's really makes a difference in our lives.
The part that really brings this home is when you see a community come together like this. No matter what you believe in, no matter what strife we've gone through as a country, this is what it's about. This is what we come together, and this is what we do as a country. This is America here.
We want to give that positive message that everything absolutely is going to be okay.
So tonight we're encouraging you to give, if you can, help these people that so need you in the community that we all love.
Yeah, and we can assure you they love your support and any donations you can help out with.
And you just heard Abby and Russell encouraging you to take part in this donation effort. And it's very easy by partnering with the Red Cross.
We just want you to text Red Cross to 90999. Red Cross to 90999, and remember, 91% of that money stays right here. That will get you a $10 donation just doing that very thing. Red Cross to 90999.
And you can also show your support with a Smokies Strong t-shirt. WBIR teaming up with Bacon & Company and the Knoxville News Sentinel for this effort. The shirts are $15 each. You can buy them at WBIR.com. All the money raised will go to the East Tennessee Wildfire Relief Fund.
We've learned about a lot of monetary donations already coming into this small community of 4,000 to 6,000 full-time residents in Gatlinburg. The mayor spoke to that today.
The people around here are amazing. We received a check this morning for $100,000 from a company out of Pigeon Forge. And that just shows the collaboration and the love in this area.
We're back live here just outside the city limits of Gatlinburg, and what we have seen over the past few days is stories of heroism combined with stories of shock at what is left. Literally, as you drive down the main center of Gatlinburg, many of the iconic buildings of that community are standing, but right up on the sides, everything is gone.
That's right. 10 News reporter Rashad Hardnett met up with people who saw for themselves whether their homes were standing when they went to see for themselves.
I could see the fire glow up on the mountain.
It's been a harrowing 2 days for Mike Manns. On Monday night, he was one of hundreds told to evacuate the mountain in Cobley Knob. That's after a fallen tree hit a power line, causing sweeping fires across the neighborhood and destroying more than 75 homes.
You can't put it in words. I can't. I mean, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
He weathered the storm at his brother's house, but Manns suffers with heart disease and he was without his medication. On top of that, he was without something else he values just as much.
I was not worried about my possessions, but I was really worried about my dog.
Minnie has been by his side for years. Manns wasn't able to access her for more than 24 hours or verify his home was even standing.
I was really worried about her safety. I did not want her to die in a fire.
He considers himself fortunate. His home only sustained minor damage to his window. Today, many others in Cobley Knob are just now getting a first-hand look at the status of their homes. It's a privilege several other families and business owners in Gatlinburg have yet to see.
It is hard to really put it in perspective that you can be in a 2,000 square foot home, perfectly normal, and 3 hours later, you're looking at the foundation and everything there is gone. And that's, you go through these areas where the cabins or businesses have caught on fire, and they didn't just burn, they burnt to the ground. There's nothing.
We're back live again, once again, here in Gatlinburg. And Robin, you made this point over the last few days of reporting. It's a community that is about 10 square miles, and at least half of that community touched by fire.
Absolutely. So many people were separated from their animals during this firestorm. And Becca Habiger kept caught up with a family who was searching for their cat. This is how their story ends.
Robin and John, I'm here in Wares Valley off of Walters Way in front of the Hidden Lakes Estate neighborhood. In this area, there is a mix of damage and near misses. A number of homes around here burned to the ground while some were spared. Today, I spoke with a family who lost nearly everything.
My husband was running downstairs. He was screaming, "Get in the car, get in the car."
It was a narrow escape for Chasleen Bryant and her husband Jonathan, their 4 kids, and 2 dogs. But the family's 2 cats could not be found in time to escape. When the Bryants returned home on Tuesday, this is what greeted them.
We've seen the devastation, which we kind of expected, but your mind can't see it any other way until you see it.
We met them Wednesday outside their Hidden Lake Estates home in Wares Valley, where they returned to search for their remaining missing cat.
We got one yesterday, and we came back for him today, and here he is, and he's shocked. He's really shocked.
And the cat's name is Awesome.
He used to walk when he was a kitten on his hind legs, and that's how he got his name, because he did all these awesome things.
Including now surviving a wildfire.
I was scared when it happened, and I was crying. Very big.
And how do you feel now?
Good, since I got my cat back and everything.
The Bryants have lived in Wares Valley for about 5 years, but had just moved into this home in June. Now it's gone.
I don't even own a spoon. I don't own a toothbrush. But these babies, my family, you know, I have them. And to me, I feel lucky. I don't care what was in there. I have them and I have this community.
Belongings can be replaced. It's people and pets that cannot.
Kiwis I've spoken with here in Wares Valley and really throughout Sevier County say this tragedy has forced them to remember what's really important in life, which of course is each other, people, and our pets. The cat, by the way, was found back here in the woods behind this Hidden Lake Estate sign. And Awesome the cat, we're happy to report, is safe and sound with his family tonight. John and Robin, back to you.
A happy ending to that story. Becca, thanks so much. Coming up, how you can help out in this relief effort. Plus, a woman who just became a U.S. citizen is evacuated from her Gatlinburg home.
We'll take you to her neighborhood where homes are standing and others gone.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to our Smokies Strong Special live from Gatlinburg. We are sharing tonight with you stories of hope and survival. Right now, you are looking at video of a vigil, a second night in a row in which community members are coming together to remember those whose lives were lost and to remember the thousands more whose lives were impacted by these deadly fires. They are singing hymns, they are standing together, and they are not uniting as one at this vigil tonight.
Just across town here, back live at the command center, this has been a 48 hours of uncertainty underlined by not knowing if your home is standing or if it's gone. 10 News reporter Jim Athene takes us to one neighborhood with one woman who found out today.
Well, here at Cobley Knob, people are finally getting a chance to get back up on the mountain and see what, if anything, is left of their homes. And in many cases, this is what they're finding. Nothing. House after house after house burned down to the foundation, along with plenty of obstacles with a lot of utility lines still down and cables draped across the road. And a lot of people have said waiting has been the hardest part because they have not been able to come up here and see what is left. That includes Julia Lutzana.
Well, this is my neighbor's home. It is literally nothing left but a chimney.
Julia was born in Italy, just became a U.S. citizen. Her world caught on fire while she was out of state celebrating a truly American holiday.
Some family time for Thanksgiving with my husband's family. A friend of mine called and said, there's fires in Gatlinburg.
She watched reports of homes turned to ashes, and then got a text showing the office where she works in Gatlinburg and her car parked outside burned to a crisp.
That was shocking. Reality started to sink in that, that's what was going to be what my home looked like.
Downed power lines and thick smoke kept Julia away until a rain-soaked Wednesday when she finally made it, and so had her house.
I woke up this morning thinking that I had nothing left, that I had to start literally from scratch, and to come here to find that I still had a house was just surreal.
There's still no power in the neighborhood, so Julia, her husband, and her pets will be staying with a friend.
So I'm just getting enough clothes for another couple of days.
While it may seem like a miracle her home is still standing, there are plenty of clues their good fortune is actually the result of someone's hard work.
That mask that obviously a firefighter left here, putting their lives in danger for me, that is a debt I'll never be able to repay. And there's my husband cleaning up the neighborhood, trying to help where he can.
A Thanksgiving holiday that ends so thankful they will not have to rebuild their house. And there's already been so much damage to this region she calls home.
You got people who are ready to give you the shirts off their backs. This is when the true colors of your community shows. It's when things like this happen.
Julia and her husband say they feel fortunate not only because their home is still standing, but because that means they will now be in a position to help others, the same way others came to their aid and saved their house while they were out of state. Reporting in Sevier County, I'm Jim Matheny. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Jim. We're back live here at the command center. Just over our shoulder is a Red Cross center that housed some 200 evacuees last night. They're open yet again tonight for people needing a place to stay.
Well, the healing process is underway here in Sevier County. We were told earlier today that the schools, Sevier County schools, will be open tomorrow except for two schools. That is Pi Beta Phi Elementary and Gatlinburg Pittman High School. They will be closed tomorrow. We are on the campus of Gatlinburg Pittman, and we are told that counselors will be here at the school tomorrow for students, for parents, for faculty to come to help them work through this process of dealing with the grief that they've experienced over the last couple of days.
And only now, Robin, we have talked to people involved in sort of the logistics of getting people to the places they need to go, and they are just beginning to feel those emotions. We know right now that first responders who are working from this community have lost homes. We're going to have much more on how you can help coming up.
Welcome back, everyone. We are proving that we are Smoky strong. We are partnering with the Red Cross in an effort to help the thousands of people who are impacted by these deadly fires. The agency says it so appreciates the support from the community.
Generosity of East Tennessee, of the country has been amazing, and just, I don't have enough words, which, if you know me, that's very unique.
Well, the Red Cross opened shelters for evacuees following the fires. It has served more than 10,000 meals. It is easy to donate to the Red Cross. All you have to do is text Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. 91% of the money stays right here.
And there is another way to help in this Smokies Strong relief effort. For more on that, we turn to 10 News anchor Beth Haynes, who joins us from our WBIR studio. Beth?
Robin and John, thank you. You've both talked about just the outpour of support that we received. We've heard from so many of you, either through email or messages on Facebook, Twitter, wanting to know how you can help. You heard for these families and you want to do something for them to help them in these situations. Well, we've teamed up with Bacon & Company, also the Knoxville News Sentinel, to create these shirts, Smokies Strong. They are $15 each, and we can purchase them on a link on our website, WBIR.com. All of the money raised will go to the Red Cross's East Tennessee wildfire relief effort. So an easy way to help, $15 for the t-shirts, and they all benefit wildfire relief efforts. One of the best ways you can help families across our East Tennessee community affected by the wildfires. Well, still ahead, stories of heroes, the people who risk their own lives to save others. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the command center here in Sevier County. We know there was a lot of interest in this firefight. Senator Lamar Alexander, as well as Senator Corker, supposed to be here tomorrow. Senator Alexander saying today that the federal government can do two things in its relief effort: provide firefighting support and also in the relief efforts. We know that Governor Bill Haslam just spoke with President Obama as well about the efforts at the federal level. Here at the local level, it is an effort by neighbor for neighbor.
We are hearing more and more stories of people who are risking their own lives, who risk their own lives to help others. 10 News reporter Michael Crow takes us to the Westgate Resort, where he found some heroes.
The devastation at Westgate Smoky Mountain Resort is shocking. When the wildfire roared through, it left little behind.
We lost 70 buildings, comprising about 800 keys of units, our check-in facility, restaurant, and we lost our laundry facility.
Many of those structures were taken down to just the foundations. Westgate's Chief Operating Officer Mark Waltrip says the fire reduced the resort to about 1/3 of its former size. But luckily, all of the 1,200 guests staying there escaped without injury. And now they look to the future.
In spite of the rumors of our demise, we plan to be cleaned up and open within the next 2 weeks. We will have the resort not only rebuilt, but built even better within the next 18 months. We start construction on Friday. We have all our architects, engineers, planners are here on site.
As for the 1,100 people employed by the resort, Westgate says about 2/3 will keep their current jobs and 1/3 will have a choice to join a construction or cleanup crew or transfer to another Westgate property across the country.
Our goal is to put back almost everybody so they don't have to go through Christmas without a job.
And we will have more ways that you can help this effort coming up after the break. Stay with us.